This is the night when witches, ghosts, Frankenstein monsters, and more come out to play. It's an evening of tricks and treats, a chance to be something other than yourself. Anything you wish, if only for one night. Now, picture the candy bowl. You sift through the mix, push aside those Necco wafers, save the Butterfinger minis, and of course don't forget the candy corn. Today's episode is all about parties, frights, campy characters, and the meaning of Halloween. Danielle Aubuchon returns for another round of nostalgia as we dive into the cult cartoon Witches' Night Out and Rankin and Bass's full-length monster mash, Mad Monster Party. And because no fall season is complete without it, we will also talk about the drink that started it all, the pumpkin spice latte. So grab your costumes, your trick-or-treat bags, and settle in. You're officially invited to a latte night party. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Real Beans. I'm Ben Schneider, your host, and today we have another special event. We have returning to the podcast Danielle Aubuchon, who you remember from This Island Earth a few episodes ago. And today we're going to do a double feature, which I'm really excited about. One is a 20-minute short called Witches' Night Out from 1977. And then we're also going to be talking about Danielle's favorite Halloween film called Mad Monster Party, which is a Rankin and Bass film, which many know from the Christmas episodes like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Frosty. And so this one's kind of unfamiliar to many people, including myself, which I'd heard about it but never really watched it. And yeah, it was definitely one that went under the radar and became a cult classic, and not really one like the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which is played every single year. This is not played. We don't really have many Halloween specials that are replayed every year. Witches' Night Out was played between 1977 and I think 84, which is why I remember, because around that time when I was watching, I'd see it on TV. So they were repeating that. I think our closest one that we have is It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, which is available on Apple TV. So you can watch it at any time, which is also a perennial favorite.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So welcome, Danielle.
Thank you. It's so great to be back. So fun. This is going to be so much fun. Our favorite season, Ben.
I know. It's Halloween. We're going to enjoy it. It's time for adults, time for kids, and we're going to have a little bit of discussion with that because that is one of the main focuses on Witches' Night Out. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this, especially with how we both reacted to Witches' Night Out and how we both feel about Mad Monster Party. So first, let's begin with just what Halloween is all about, that most kids know. It's Halloween candies.
Right.
And I have a fondness and remembrance of when I went trick-or-treating and got all these candies. And then we also got a lot of duds as candies, which people seemed to love at the time and just really fell out of favor, but are still made these today. And so, there's still a market for these, even if you're feeling nostalgic, you'd be like, I don't remember, I didn't like this candy, but maybe I'll like it now. And then you're like, no, I don't.
No, never mind.
Never mind. So let's just start off with the candy. So Danielle, what are your 3 favorite Halloween candies?
Oh, 3. Okay. Well, I have to go with the iconic, as you say, but divisive, candy corn or autumn mix. You and I were talking about that. I love it. It brings back memories and, it tastes like corn syrup. That's right. It's not a whole lot of flavor, but I love it. And Halloween wouldn't be the same without it. Okay. That. My second one would have to be Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Flat out. Gotta have it. And it's a tie for the third one. But I'm going to go with a Snickers bar because this is the only time of year that I will eat Snickers bar, but it is my favorite. And the tie is with the peanut M&Ms. Sorry, got to say that.
Oh, well, that's a good tie. I'll allow the tie at number 3 because
thank you.
I think we're going to have very similar feelings about the candies because I do like candy corn and I like autumn mix. As I was mentioning before, that I think I like the autumn mix just slightly because it also combines fall as well as Halloween. So it's kind of the entire genre. And I agree. It definitely has a feel of nostalgia and just that warmth feeling of when you were younger, and that the season is starting and it's getting chilly outside and the wind is going, the leaves are falling, and the great
Yeah, I love
pumpkin
it.
will come.
That's
And
right.
and it is a very divisive candy. It's you either love it or you hate it. And
Oh,
I can
I don't
see
understand.
I see the way people would not like it, because of if you don't like that really strong sweetness that
Mhm,
almost is going
mhm.
to rot your teeth right out because it's complete sugar. But the way,
Melted cream.
I
Yeah.
mean the way that the candy looks, it's like it looks like a piece of corn,
It
a
it
kernel of
does.
corn.
It
and
does.
it's just always a fun thing to have. And you
Yeah.
don't eat a lot of it at a time because it is a lot. So it's the one that you
No.
can have on hand and just like periodically grab a little bit here and there. So my three favorites are
Mhm.
Twix, love
Ooh,
Twix,
yeah. Yep.
as you said, Snickers,
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
and probably one of my downfalls is the peanut M&M.
Yeah, absolutely. Hands
The
down.
peanut
Hands down.
M&Ms are just so much better than the plain. I like the additional having the peanut in there, but also the candy shell. It just looks it's more creative in my
It
opinion. It
it is.
and it
It
does
is.
taste really, really good. And if I buy a bag and have it out, it's not like the candy corn that I can eat periodically. I'm gonna just stuff my face full and
Gosh,
empty the whole bag.
it won't last in our house at
No,
all.
it doesn't last at all in
Mm-mm.
my place.
Mm-mm,
Not
mm-mm,
even
mm.
maybe 10 minutes after I get home from the grocery store.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, my husband likes anything with chocolate and nuts,
Yep.
so it's gone.
Yep, it's
It's gone.
gone. It's
Yep.
like my mother and I, we love Twizzlers. So those are always, like, gone within a matter of
But
60 seconds
I
because they're
love
just so
Twizzlers.
good.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
it was so hard to narrow it down to 3, Ben, I gotta tell you, because with this well, there are a few on here that I would say, and absolutely no way would I eat them anymore, and I
right.
don't think I even liked them as a kid, but there's some that I would just absolutely love, like you said, like the like the, Twizzler, and also the what was the first one with the caramel, the cookie? The first one
Oh,
you're with
Twix,
your kid.
Twix.
I love
Yeah,
Twix.
Twix
Oh
is
my
another one
goodness.
that a lot of people, if you don't like caramel, because I know a lot
Oh.
of people don't like it when it gets stuck to their teeth, and I'm of that feeling, but I feel with the cookie and the chocolate with it, it's like a good
Mhm.
combination together,
Mhm.
especially
Mhm.
ones that have been fresh, like that you just got off the truck and they're just so crispy and they break right
Mhm.
easily and so
And the
good.
caramel's smooth and
Yep,
soft.
yep.
Yeah.
It
Mm.
is one of those candies that if it does get too old, it does get a little the
On the chewy
tough
side.
side, chewy
Yeah.
and hard and not
Yeah.
really pleasant to
Not
eat.
not at all. Yeah.
But that's the same with all candies. I mean, any kind of
True.
candy that's been sitting out for a long time, even well, maybe not candy corn, because candy corn seems to just stay, you know?
I swear, I think we're eating bags of candy corn that were processed and made in 1969.
That's a possibility, and it's probably one of those things, as they when people talk about post-apocalyptic, we have to
Yeah.
eat something, we'll be eating candy corn because that'll be the only thing that survives.
I totally agree. Oh, let's stock up on our autumn mix now though, Ben. Let's do it
Exactly,
now. Yeah,
exactly. Now's the time because it won't be
now's
back
the
for a
time.
while.
That's right.
Yeah, so let's I wanted to also talk because the candy world is very divisive at times.
Yeah.
People love and hate certain things, and we all have our list of the worst candies we received while we were trick or treating, and we went home and emptied out our bags, and then we were like,
Uh-huh.
"What is this?"
I know. And
So,
my mom always checked our bags, of course, because it was like, "This is not wrapped, it's going in the trash." "No." "Yes, it's
yes,
going in the trash."
yes.
"Okay."
And we don't see that much anymore unless you like, I would get special treats if I went to my grandparents' place.
Sure.
They'd have, like, the popcorn balls ready or something
Fun.
that was not wrapped up because they made it themselves. You knew where it was coming from.
Right.
But
Right.
even some neighbors, I remember, would pass out candy corn balls or something like that, and because we trusted them and knew them, we weren't afraid that there was gonna be
Sure.
something, and,
Sure. But see, I
uh
grew up in LA, in the San Fernando Valley, so it's a little different. If you're in a small town, I
right.
think you know more people and, and it's a different scene, but yeah,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And the sad thing is, like, for myself living in a big city,
Mhm.
I live in an apartment complex, so I don't get trick-or-treaters, so I don't have the fun of passing out candy,
Come
and
up here and sit with us.
right? Exactly. So, yeah, let's dive into this list. We're just gonna go through a couple of these
Okay.
and
I
just
love it.
discuss these worst Halloween candies. Now, this list is just combined from many sites that I looked at, very some that showed up many times, some that showed up and I was scratching my head.
Yeah, the couple on
And
here, yeah, for sure. Okay.
so let's begin with probably one of the oldest candies,
Mhm.
Bit of Honey, which
Ugh,
is a sticky, chewy, hard candy that will
ugh,
break your teeth, I think, no
uh,
matter if you have good teeth or bad teeth, it's just gonna rip the teeth right out, I
and
think.
it's gonna take them out of the gums. Yeah, I gotta say, 2 things going against Bit of Honey: the texture, and I hate honey.
Ah,
I
ah.
cannot stand the
So
taste of honey. So that one is a big no-no for me.
that's interesting. Okay, yeah. See, I love honey, but the taste
Mhm.
never taste I never like, artificial flavors of things like honey or banana just never taste good in candy. So,
No,
I'm always like, "No, it just." I think the texture for me really was one of the biggest things, and it was just like it wasn't chewy, so
no,
it wasn't easy to eat.
no, it was
And
not.
and it
It was like
always
part in between. It was like a
it
kinda like
always
a Lego. It felt like a biting into a Lego or
well, and
something.
it was one of those candies along with another one on this list called Mary Jane's that were just they always felt like old. Like, no matter how new they might have been in process, they
Mm.
just felt old all the time. So
Yeah,
that was
that
always
brings back a memory. You know what Mary Jane's tasted like to me? Old coffee.
yeah, yeah, that's that
Ugh.
old-fashioned peanut butter,
Yeah,
waxy taste.
yeah, bad old coffee.
Yeah,
Ugh.
not fun, and those
Mm-mm.
definitely went into the trash unless you had
Yes.
somebody in the
Who
family
really liked them.
who liked them, then you'd give them to them, but no one in
Mhm.
my family liked any of that kinda
No.
stuff. Now here's an interesting one, and I don't know what your feelings on it, but
Mm.
Smarties. Now Smarties, sweet tarts almost, they're
Uh-huh.
little on the chalky side, but they got
Mhm.
a nice tart flavor to them.
Mhm.
Now I loved them.
Me too. And I would still eat them today.
I think I would eat them today too, just because they're really quick candies,
Yep.
but I know the chalky texture can be a bit jarring for some people, especially
Yeah.
with one of your candies that you like that I really don't like, which are Necco wafers.
I love
They
them.
they have the chalky taste to it, but never really quite not as, tasteful as tasty as the Smarties to me.
Smarties.
But,
I don't
also
know.
as a
I love
kid,
them.
a nostalgia moment here, but as a kid, my we would pretend that those were like our aspirins that we were
Yes,
taking
right.
for our headaches because
Put
they
them
were
in
like
your doctor
pill.
kit.
Yep, exactly. They were like, "Here you go, have your aspirin. Here's your sweet tart aspirin."
Now that's interesting. This is an interesting question that just popped up. Do you remember how you ate them?
So, it would either be one at a
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
or I take the whole thing and just eat the whole thing.
Exactly. Or
This
half
was
of
too
it.
small.
You
Or yeah,
unwrap it. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
multiple ones and just have a
Fun.
flavor of various tart taste in your mouth
Yeah,
going, and
I
then
do
it's
it.
just yep,
Definitely.
definitely was just because it was such a small package anyway, it was, like, not many of them to throw in your mouth and be plus, as kids, we're like, "Just throw everything," and no
Yes,
matter no matter what, we just throw everything in our mouth to eat
exactly.
it. Okay, just a couple more.
Yeah.
Let's talk about apples,
Ugh.
which
God.
thankfully, I don't think you see many of that because of the
Oh,
controversy that occurred, but
you're right.
for those who are younger than myself, there was a time when people would give out apples or something healthy for you, and maybe people still give out healthy options these days, but
Uh,
it was one of those things that I had mentioned to my folks and to you about how this was Charlie Brown's rock. This
yeah.
is when he says, "I got a rock," he was getting an
Yeah.
apple each time,
The
and
disappointment, the shoulders
it
just dropping, just, oh
and it
god.
now I'll give a caveat. If it was a candy apple, which had covering on it, that was more
Yeah.
of a candy, and it
Yeah.
wasn't, just a healthy apple. So, I would give a pass for a candy apple, but those again weren't really given out much, or they were usually at parties of some
Right,
kind.
right, right.
But yeah, the
Or your mom would get
disappointment,
one.
you want
Yeah.
chocolate, you want a sucker, you want something that's sweet, and it'd give you an apple, and
Oh my
that would
god.
be another that you'd give to your parents and say, "Here you go, you can eat it, I don't
Yeah,
want it. Give
or
me
it
my
would go
Snickers bar."
in LA, it would go in the trash,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure, it would, just like, "I don't know, and it's going in the trash."
Let's see, what's another one that I really Good and Plenty is another divisive one
See, I love it. I
because, yep,
love
it
it.
is the black
Black
licorice,
licorice.
and
Mhm.
as my note says here, a kid's nightmare if you were hoping for chocolate.
Yeah, right. I get that. I get it. I do, but
N
I would never be disappointed to get a Good and Plenty.
and see if you are a fan, like my grandmother was,
Mhm,
of black licorice flavor,
mhm,
then
mhm.
great. Eat all of my black jelly beans, eat all of my
Oh, I
Good and
love it.
Plenties. enjoy, I will go on to something else.
Whack, go through your bag.
Exactly. Okay. Well, that kind of really goes into a bunch that I think most would recognize.
Yes.
Um,
Although there's one on here I have to give a shout out to, the circus peanuts. Now, no
oh,
one likes those except for me, I think. I'm the only person left on the planet that actually likes them.
I think I did eat them as a kid, and I probably would eat 1 or 2, and that even as a
Mhm.
kid, probably just 1 or 2, and then I'd be like, "Fine." I'd be like, "I'm good with it. I've had it. It is a Halloween staple." But in terms of, like, sitting down with a bowl of candy, I'm not gonna usually have those.
Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
they are a clever gimmick, and they're shaped like a peanut, and
That's
you have
right.
the elephant on the bag, and
Which I love elephants, so
I
there you
mean
go.
but I think also, that many people probably won't get circus peanuts anymore because I don't
No.
think they came in individualized packets.
No,
So
you're right.
you had, like, the and they weren't
Bag.
wrapped individually in the
That's
bag.
right. Yeah.
Maybe they are now, but they weren't back then, so that you wouldn't throw them into the plus
Mm-mm.
they were easy to get,
Sticky and kinda wet.
hard, and
Yeah, and
then yeah,
hard.
they'd dry out really quickly.
Yeah.
So that was always a downfall of the circus peanuts.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Uh,
and also gonna say here, raisins, that goes in the same apple thing. I'm sorry.
yeah.
If you're giving me raisins, I'm not gonna be happy.
It's a cop out. Those are cop
Oh,
out
yeah. Yeah.
gifts, and I'm like, just don't hand out treats.
Sure.
Don't hand out anything but treats, people.
Exactly.
That's what the kids want, and that's the point of Halloween is to be as your kid, you're dressing up and you want the candy. You go up
That's
and say trick or treat.
ugh.
And I just saw you take a sip, so
Oh, that's
talking
so
about the
delicious.
holiday season, the coffee that
Oh,
we're using today is the
mm.
pumpkin spice latte, the famous pumpkin spice latte that starts the season.
It is so delicious, and it's it's more than like a latte to me, like we were talking about, it's like a warm milkshake, kind
Right.
of, but it has that wonderful all the flavors of a pumpkin pie, so it's bringing back all those wonderful holiday
All the
memories.
memories. I mean, that's
Mm.
what Halloween is, a very nostalgic season and a holiday
Yeah,
because of what it brings for adults and children. Children
right.
have a good time enjoying themselves dressing up. Parents take their children trick or
Yeah,
treating, or they remember the good times they had as a trick or treater.
right.
Plus, with all the specials and movies that come out during this time, and
And it
um,
sort of kicks off the whole for me, it kicks off the whole holiday season. Holidays were
exactly,
huge in my house. My parents always did all the holidays up, and so it's like the start of a new, kind of a new year in a way
exactly,
to me.
exactly.
Yeah,
It's like now we've got the holidays are just coming boom, 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 boom,
yeah,
and Halloween does kick off that season,
yeah,
especially with the autumn leaves coming and it getting crisper outside, cooler, and time for
yes.
sweaters, and just that cozy feel to it, which is what I love, which is all wrapped up in the pumpkin spice latte,
It
I think,
it completely
um,
is.
either hot or cold,
Mhm.
and,
Mm,
mm,
mm.
and it's always I always have at least 1 or 2 during the season, and
Yeah,
then I'm usually good with it. It starts me off right, and then I can
until
go
the
back.
Christmas stuff comes out.
Right, exactly, and then I'll just go back to my regular coffee
Yeah,
after the pumpkin spice latte, and then I'll wait for the gingerbread latte to come
there
out.
you go. Yes. Ah,
Ah,
so cozy. Ah,
okay, Danielle, now that we
mhm,
have gone through all the nostalgic nature of Halloween with candies and costumes and
mhm,
the fun
mm,
we had, let's jump into our first event of the evening, which was Witches' Night Out. This first aired in October 27th, 1978, and would be a staple until about the mid 80s, where it then kind of like disappeared. And for me, this film, I remember it as a kid. I just remembered certain scenes that stood out to me. And then I remember just happened to come across it on YouTube one time. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then it started to become a staple for me again. I'd find it. Right now, you can watch it on Tubi,
yeah,
and I think you can also get it on DVD somewhere. But
yeah,
it
exac
was one of those things where I was like, I kind of made it back my own tradition again with the Halloween
I love that.
cartoons that I came back to watch again and again because they're
Mm,
just so timeless.
yeah,
Even though Witches Night Out isn't your typical animated film because it is very psychedelic in nature and
mm,
very over the top animation draws.
mhm,
It's very hand drawn, animated crudely, but it
mhm,
works with every character is like has expressive faces, and
yeah,
it's exciting to listen to because you also have a great cast that you wouldn't know because they don't sound at all like they would normally sound.
Not at
Uh,
all.
the witch
Unbelievable.
the
Yeah.
witch is played by none other than Gilda Radner from
Mm,
Saturday Night Live, and
brilliant.
I would you if I didn't know that before going into it and listened to it, I would never have known that was
Neither would
Gilda
I.
Radner because it does not sound like any of her characters on SNL or in her movies. So it was a pleasant surprise to be like, aha, she can do this kind of thing. And I don't think she did too many animated
I don't know of
cartoons.
any.
Nothing that had this much of effect on me anyway.
Mhm. Yeah.
But she
She's
is
amazingly talented. What a brilliant, brilliant talent.
absolutely
Yeah.
it's such
Do anything.
she could do anything, exactly. Even on some of her weird comedies, she would still give it she was so funny no matter what she did. She could just look at the camera and that would just make you just crack up. And
I actually
here
had her comedy album too.
right.
That was great. Yeah.
And in Witches Night Out, the way it's drawn, her facial expressions, I can see some of Gilda's expressions when she just turns to the camera and looks at the audience, and it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Absolutely.
and then
Absolutely.
another popular and person is Catherine O'Hara, plays the
Oh,
part of Malicious, one of the
yeah.
townspeople, and another voice that you kind of could hear, but you wouldn't
I
think of
would
it
not have
when you
known.
heard her voice is so disguised in
Yep.
this, like, witchy, cackly, over
Mhm.
the top nature that, you'd be like, "That doesn't sound like Moira Rose," or, "That doesn't sound like from
No.
Beetlejuice," or anything you
No.
know Catherine O'Hara from,
Yeah.
and so it was like another pleasant surprise to me, like, "Oh, another famous person who was in this that, you never would have known unless
Yep.
they." I mean, thanks to Internet Movie Database, I
Right.
can see the listings of the characters. I can tell who's playing who, but just
So
fascinating.
did you know they were in it when you were a kid? Because you
No,
were oh, interesting. Okay.
no, it wasn't
Yeah.
until later that I was like, "Oh, Gilda Radner? Oh, Catherine O'Hara?"
Wow. Wow.
So, yeah, and they do such a great job with their voice. Everyone in this cast has really good voice-over work
Mhm. Mhm.
and fit their characters perfectly.
Perfectly. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And I also heard was Dan Aykroyd in there as well? Did he do one of the voices, or was I
I don't
mistaken?
think so, but I mean, it's quite possible.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious. That would
Um
be so wild.
Yeah, the only other person of note that people recommend is Fiona Reed, who played the
Mhm.
part of Nicely, who was the
Mhm.
pink,
The
fluffy,
pink. Yeah.
nice do-gooder. Let's
Yeah.
have everyone be happy and,
Yeah.
uh,
The
yeah, and
pastel
pastel.
creatures.
Yes,
Yes.
you will notice that in this film, all the townspeople have a different hue of color
Mhm.
and kind of based on what each character is supposed to be. So you have four
Mhm.
major human nature characters. One is Goodley, who's the
Mhm.
town sort of he kind of feels like the mayor, but I think he's just the most popular guy. But he's always trying to do good, even if
Right.
it's not doing good at the moment.
Right.
He's
Right.
always trying to do good.
Even if
And
it's
then
ham-fisted, he's trying to be good. Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
And good nicely is the nice
Mhm.
let's get along. We can talk to the monsters. We can do this. Anything's possible. And then you have Malicious, whose
Right.
color is green.
Mhm. A
So
dark
like that
green.
dark green, and she's got black hair and black
Uh-huh.
boots, and that's just the
Uh-huh.
2 colors you get, and that kind of is associated with that maleficent feel
Yes.
and that
Yes.
malevolent feel
Yes.
and, uh,
Yes.
kind of like,
Right.
and she's very much like a curmudgeon.
That's right.
Um,
And that's Catherine O'Hara.
that's Catherine O'Hara. And
Mhm.
then you had Rotten, which is
Rotten
a
f
dark purple character, and
Right.
he's also got that tight, deep voice and, "Malicious, what you doing there?"
Yeah.
Got that kind of
He
over the
kinda
top,
on the East Coast.
yeah,
Yeah.
grungy and like,
Grungy, yeah.
uh,
Yep.
so if those are kind of like 4 human natures that
Right.
kind of come around at Halloween time,
Mhm.
and so I found that quite fascinating
Yeah.
to involve that as the adults, and the
Yes.
children are nice and just
Small
re
and tender.
small and tender, and they're just colored just a pure yellow. That's what
Mhm.
they are. They want to go out and scare everybody, and they love Halloween, but then when they're around the adults are talking about adult things that they're just like, "What? What? What?"
And they're so
And
disappointed. It's
e
like, this
exactly,
isn't for
especially
us."
especially when they go trick-or-treating and they're trying to scare everybody and everyone's like, oh, small and tender, how cute. And they're like,
Yeah,
cute.
right.
And we all know as children what that feels like when someone's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's so cute.
Ew.
And it's like, no,
Yeah.
I wanted to be scary. That's why I
Yeah,
got this mask, was to be scary.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
so, and then there's the last character, besides, I'll get to the witch in a minute, but
Mhm.
the other main character is Bazooey, who's a red baby,
Yeah.
he's the red babysitter who comes
Babysitter.
in,
Mhm.
and he's very much I guess of the time, maybe like a very hippie, very much like, hi, I'm going to read you a story. I'm going to enjoy
Yeah.
Bazooey.
Yeah. A
Very much
real cool babysitter.
outrageous and
Yeah.
outgoing and, but
His
still
what
kind-hearted.
his head kinda reminded me of Grover
Yes.
in Sesame Street,
Yes.
that kind of shape. I loved
Exactly.
him. I loved him.
Exactly. He's a fun character and he
Yeah.
just wants to, he's kind-hearted and wants to take care of the kids, but he also wants them to have a good time and
Right.
enjoy themselves. And then we have the witch, who's the
The star.
main attraction.
That's right.
And so here's a little bit of a synopsis of it. So Witch's Night Out is about a witch who is disgruntled by the fact that no one takes Halloween seriously anymore. No one is calling her to come help turn them into monsters or make Halloween even special. So she decides to stir things up when the town decide to have a Halloween party at this mansion. And so she's going to decide she's going to make it an all haunted house for everybody. And then when Small and Tender wish that they could be a werewolf and a ghost, the witch hears the call and she's like, two in one night, how can this go wrong? And so she flies in to the Small and Tender and made their wishes come true to become a real werewolf and a real ghost. And
Right.
Bazooey is like, no, no, no. But she tempts him and be like, remember you as a child. What did you always want to be? And
Right.
he's like, I want to be a Frankenstein monster. And so they become these real life monsters.
Right.
So she invites them to come to the party where everyone's having just a regular old, like, have some hors d'oeuvres, let's chit chat. And they're like sneaking around behind to be like, we're going to sneak up and scare them. And when they do, it causes pandemonium and all the
Right?
townspeople scream, rush out. And
Rush out.
when the witch is giving her grand opening, like, welcome, Mike, she gets trampled and someone takes her wand.
That's right.
And so
Yeah,
now she
right.
has no wand and the kids in
No power.
Bazooey, no power. Kids in Bazooey are now the monsters forever until they can find the wand. So it becomes now a search to figure out who's got the wand, and so she can turn them back to their human form again.
Exactly.
Now, after this, they decide they're trying to figure out, the townsfolk are trying to figure out what to do about this. We're Small and Tender. They've been kidnapped. They've probably got them. And all of the paranoia begins to build, where Goodley is like, he's upset because it's his own fault. He thought of the party and this wouldn't have happened. And when Nicely decides to, patch things up, it's all right. Maybe we can talk to them. You can do something about this. And he's like, I will. And he becomes this vengeful, start the mob and
That's
let's
right,
get
right. The
them.
angry mob, the
The angry
Frankenstein
mob
angry mob.
rule, and they're going to find this witch and get her and turn them back. And so they all start going off trying to find the monsters and the witch is like, oh dear, this is not good.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they have to hide for a bit. But meanwhile, it's discovered that Malicious and Rotten have the
Mm.
wand because it got stuck in Malicious's hair. So they try to create food, they tried to create money, but of course they don't know the magical words and the magic power, how to use the wand.
Right.
So everything just
Falls apart.
falls apart. You get a dirty sock, or the fire hydrant collapses and the house goes dark, and so
Right.
that in turn cues the witch to find where the wand is at. She goes, takes the wand away, turns Malicious and Rotten into monsters, and Small Tender and Bazooey back into their human form. The townsfolk, of course, arrive and attack Malicious and Rotten
Right,
until
but
Bazooey.
celebrate the witch in a way.
But then
Yeah.
Bazooey stops them and says, this is all just make-believe. And the witch is like, oh, nobody likes Halloween anymore, and turns everything back to normal. It's like, maybe it's just me. And then the townsfolk all clap and say, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And then everyone's like, what would you like to be? This is what Halloween is all about. Pretend you can be anything you want for just one night. And nobody is going to scratch their head and tell you, no, you can't. So, of course, she turns all the people into a vampire or Attila the Hun or a fairy princess. And then invites them all back to the house where they have the rest of the evening to party in their costumes for the night. And then that
Right.
ends the film.
Right.
So it's a
Oh.
very much, it's such a nostalgic, but also very poignant
Mhm.
message regarding the fact that as kids, we're innocent. We're like, this is what we know we're going to do. We're going to have fun. We're going to be a vampire. We're going to be a ghost. We're going to be a goblin. And I
Mhm.
can be a devil in this night. Nobody's going to say, nah,
Right,
Um, and so, but
Yeah.
then when we become adults, there are still people who really enjoy Halloween, but a lot of times we become just like, just things happen in our lives and we're not as interested in Halloween and going to parties or trick or treating anymore. Dressing up is too much of a hassle these days, or blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And so we kind of forget what the purpose of Halloween was at the time when it did come
Yeah.
out originally. It was like, let's give the children one night to just do whatever. I mean, within reason, but
Right, right.
we know that some kids do not do things, give a lot of
Well,
tricks out there
yes,
instead of
yes.
treats. But the whole point was to have a group of people or your families go out and then just say, "Look at my costume! Isn't my costume great?"
Yep,
And then, of
yep,
course, the next day to say, "How much Halloween candy did you get?"
that's right. It
And
was a
find
nice way too to you don't maybe neighbors that you don't normally bump into, you get to see, and that's great for the adults as well. It's a
exactly.
social thing.
And
Yeah,
I always appreciated, even as adults, you turn the porch light on, and that meant you were available to give out trick or treating.
right,
You could stop. That meant you could stop at the door. If it didn't have a
right,
light on, they either weren't home or weren't participating that year.
right.
So it was like a good way of like you could actually like tell. But
Mhm.
then I remember I remember as a kid going into some places who forgot to turn the light off, and we're like, "I'm so sorry, we don't have any Halloween candy. We left the light on."
Oh,
So
no.
it was sort of like a
Oh.
responsibility of an adult to be like, make sure you
Yes,
have the light on or off.
off,
Otherwise,
and
you're
have
gonna get
plenty of candy.
otherwise you're going to get or I remember one time, I went to a door and they didn't have anything, but they, like, ran to the back to see if they had any candies.
Oh, their hearts were in the right place.
Exactly,
Yeah.
they just forgot to turn the light off, and they're like, "Oh, I've gotta find something."
Yeah. Yeah, it is so it's you know what? It's just a fun, silly holiday, and that's what makes it always made my heart swell because it was just like you say, it was just a fun time to be with friends, family, walking around, getting outside. It's cool, but it's not raining. Well, although there have
Sometimes
been
it
some rainy
rains.
Halloweens, but yeah. And sometimes in the San Fernando Valley where I grew up, they were extremely hot Halloweens
Uh,
that were miserable when you had a mask on and a
yeah,
costume.
and I grew up in Michigan, so
Yeah.
sometimes it would be really cold.
Ooh,
So
yeah.
instead of we'd have to put on a coat or a jacket, which of course would cover up the
Would spoil your
costume.
darn
And
costume.
so that would
Yeah.
always spoil it. So whenever it was like the perfect night for Halloween, trick or treating, it was like, great, let's get out there and do it before the rain and snow come and make our lives miserable for the
Yeah,
rest of the year.
really. It's a bad
But yeah,
kickoff.
I can imagine if it was too hot and you're trying to wear a mask and it's like, oh my gosh.
Miserable.
Or if you're wearing makeup and it's just the makeup is just smearing all
Sliding
over the
off.
place.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
no,
can
really.
it's there was never I mean, whenever it was perfect, that was always perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
And we do get a perfect night in Witch's Night Out.
Yes,
Um,
and it's beautifully drawn.
and I know this was
I
your first time
First
seeing it.
time seeing it. Thank you for introducing me to this because I missed it, and I mean, it was interesting as like we were talking about the pastels, the different colors that represent certain human qualities. But when I looked again at the depth and the richness of the color when the neighborhood was drawn, oh, it's just really beautiful, and has that warm, cozy feel to it.
It does. Even the haunted house has a coziness to it, and even when you're in the rooms just listening to the witch talk, and she's just like she's got her cat that she turns into a bat just for fun because she needs something to do, and because she's so bored that's what she has to
Yeah,
do. But then
yeah,
her life is sort of renewed when she hears this party is going to happen, and so she's now excited for Halloween.
it's her
And
night.
it's finally, and then when she gets the call, she's like, "Wow, I couldn't have asked for something better than tonight." It's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, yeah,
right, exactly.
it will happen. It will happen."
Mhm,
And it just her juices are flowing and she's ready to go. And
I'm
now
so
Halloween can
excited.
officially begin.
That's right. The
And
season is off.
right.
In the one of the opening things with the witch, I was reminded of not only her room, but her was a little bit of Sunset Boulevard, Norma
Yes,
Desmond,
yes.
right?
It definitely has a Norman Desmond quality to it. Like, back when I was younger,
Yes,
things were different. That's she
right.
definitely was over the top in that nature of like,
I love it.
people used to do this and they used to do that, but now I'm just
Right.
washed up and nobody cares
Nobody
anymore.
cares. She had the
And
trunks of old clothes
and
and
her outfit has like the sort of hooded hat,
yes,
and like she's definitely
right.
a 20s looking star in
Mhm.
this respect, and the way she flows when she's walking and moving, and
Yes, and that stylized kind
not
of the
she's not
arms.
really flying per se,
Yeah,
but she is just like
light
ballerina
floating?
almost, like she's floating from one place to another, but elegantly and very much like, I'm a not a she's not a wicked witch as
No,
people would think of her. She
no.
may have some, like, people might think some of her stuff is wicked, but
Mhm.
she's not, like, scaring the children out. She's wanting to just have fun. It's all about having fun and
Yes.
not being malicious, but it's like, "Oh, I can just have," it's always fun to, like, spook somebody and be like,
That's
"Ooh,"
right.
you know?
That's what they want.
Right.
That's what
I
they
mean,
want. I wanna
we
give the
we
people what they
we
want.
get that now. I mean, I know a lot of adults love going to haunted houses that are, like, really
Absolutely.
spooky and scary, and,
Yeah,
or even just fun. I always love fun haunted houses that had some scares, but it was always, like, kinda creative. Anything that was creative was
me
always
too.
fun to go and be a part of.
Absolutely.
But
Oh, I love
and that's
that.
kind of what her house is, like a haunted house. It's got all
Mhm.
these rooms and crevices and cavernous areas, and
Mhm.
everything's falling apart, dilapidated
That's
artwork,
right.
and but it's, like, perfect for their Halloween party. It's a
E
great it's just the best place you could actually think to have a Halloween
right.
party, and
Right.
and so she can become the gracious hostess. Now that it's
Mhm.
almost like the "I'm ready for your close-up, Mr. DeMille.
Well, it
I'm
was, and when
I'm
she was like
finally
the
being."
staircase.
The
Yeah, coming
staircase,
down the
exactly,
stairs. Exactly,
exactly, and then
exactly.
even her final costume is this rich red and boa that she's
Yeah,
just become like the devil in the red dress.
in the red dress.
And, but it's like it works
So
perfectly
fabulous.
because it's like she goes from black, this like, "Ugh, I'm not worthy," and then all of a sudden at
Right.
the end, she's just richly red and, like, vibrant, and now her life is
Yes.
back again,
Yes,
and,
right. Yep.
and
Yep.
so it's a nice mix with the colors that they choose. As you were saying, the way that the town is very much like gray, has some grayness to it, but it
Yeah.
also has a lot of lights. The light fixtures are on, and that was always, I remember as a kid, like, when it was dark out and the lights would all come on, and it would just be like
Yeah.
like almost a magical space.
It really was, and there was, like and also with the tree colors that they had, there was also sort of like a velvety red
Yes,
that was in there. The sky was gray and dark, and the lights kinda shone down, but it made that kind of red and yellow and
and there
orange. Beautiful,
it was basically
beautiful.
kinda taking the colors of the townsfolk,
Mhm.
I mean, and, like, kinda putting them all together, excuse me,
Yes,
putting them all
blending them.
together and
Yeah,
making these, like, beautiful palettes. Because I also
exactly.
remember there were some purple hues and
Mhm.
tones that were making their way, especially the house and the 'cause
Yeah,
but also you'd have, like, when it was daytime, you still had the bright light with the gaudy house and the
yeah,
falling apart mansion, but it was like, "Ooh," but they made the mansion look so starkly diagonal that it was
yeah,
like it was towering over you almost, and so
yeah, yeah.
that was a
Looming,
yeah.
looming over the town. Yeah.
Exactly, and
Mhm.
that just made it even more special, I think, for the because this is also animated very people might say very crudely, because it's a very psychedelic looking
Mhm.
piece
Yeah,
because the townsfolk are all kind of together, like, you don't really see, like, make out a neck or you don't make
right,
out like, their
right.
head is just connected to the body and they're all the same color, and
They're like shapes.
their
Yeah.
heads are shaped in, like, circles or Bazooey has more pokey hairs, and,
Right,
it's just
right.
very much, like, straightly drawn, but then also the flowing all the people flow in
Yep.
like a ghost almost,
Yeah.
and the
I
way
was sort
that
of
they're
reminded
taken.
do you remember that toy as a kid? I was sort of reminded of something called a color form.
Yes,
That's what they reminded me of.
yes.
You
That
peel them off and put them on a scene or something.
Yep,
Yeah.
that is
Well,
a good
loved
that's
it.
a good but they also draw with such the facial reactions are like, oh, they're
Incredibly
big.
detailed. Yeah.
I mean, they're big, and that does add to the humor
Mhm.
of the scenes,
Mhm, yeah.
especially with the witch. The witch is supposed to be this menacing character, but she's
Hilarious.
hilarious. Like, she always breaks the fourth wall and looks at the
Oh,
audience with a look of disdain or like,
that's
"Ugh."
That's
Or
right.
like,
Yeah.
especially when she hears them talking about having the party and they're like, "This place is a wreck. It's atrocious. Who would wanna be here?" And she's hearing
Right.
all of it, and then she's like, "These people."
Deflated.
Yep, exactly. She even has that look, like her mouth is, like, just giving that, like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, I'm over it.
I am so red hot. No, I loved it, and we were also talking about the song too, so 70s,
Yes.
but very I mean, and I love that, but very catchy.
Right.
I'm surprised it hasn't ended up on more, like, Halloween CDs.
Yeah, I don't know, and it also has,
Yeah,
because it is synthesizer music,
yeah,
and it
right.
does have a bit of a Halloween, like, monster sound to it, like,
Sure
it's
does.
almost it's
Yeah,
almost like a ghostly, like, "Ooh," but very much synthesizer tone, and which as for the time, that was, like, the popular
it
music
was.
at the time, and
It
it
was. Yeah.
that's why, but what's funny is, this is, it was made in '78. It does not feel dated. None of it feels dated.
Mm-mm,
Everything still
not at
looks
all.
pretty modern-ish,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
'cause they don't have, like, they're not wearing bell bottoms, or they're not wearing the
No.
costumes are,
Mhm.
ghost costumes are the same as they always were. Frankenstein monsters is the same. It's like things are
Right.
Halloween costumes pretty much stay the same
Yeah.
when they first began up until now. They've become more
Yeah.
intricate and more
Right.
stylized perhaps, but
Right.
but we all know what a wolfman looks like, and we all
Right.
know what a witch looks like, so it's
Sort of a
not like
vampire.
it's not
Right.
like they were doing something specifically '70s. But
No. Mm-mm.
even the synthesizer music, we're going into the '80s now, which also had a lot of synthesizer music, so
Totally.
it does make a comeback every once in a while. So it's
Absolutely.
definitely that's what I appreciated about it, because sometimes there can be films and cartoons that have that
Mhm.
'70s strong feel or '80s strong feel, and
Or look.
it's kinda stuck in there.
Yeah.
Um,
A
but
feel and a look, but this kind of transcends it, I
yeah,
agree.
they did a
It
really
goes
nice
timeless.
job
Mhm.
with the colors and the
Mhm.
structure. They didn't Since they don't look like typical normal human beings, the
Right.
way that they're cartoonized, but no, it's still fascinating these days to watch it again, and I'd love to just introduce more people to it because it's such a fascinating piece, and
Right.
it's definitely unique. There's nothing like it that I've seen,
Mhm.
because you've got traditional shows like It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown,
Mhm.
or
Right.
even there's Halloween is Grinch Night, which is a sort of sequel to the
Yeah.
How the
I've
Grinch
never
Stole
seen
Christmas.
that. I've never seen
It's
that.
fine. It's a,
Mhm.
it's traditional, very much Dr. Seuss
Mhm.
traditional,
Mhm.
and that animation style is also very unique as well.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, definitely.
but yeah,
Yeah.
you'd see, like, just regular old, like, either they were scary or they
Mhm.
were very cutesy
Yeah,
and
which
very
never appealed to
traditional.
me.
Yeah, I don't mind
Cutesy.
traditional, but it
Yeah,
has to have something to it. There has to be
I
some bones to it.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot of with Witches' Night Out, there's good messaging behind it. Uh,
Yeah.
and the witch has the right idea about, like, this is the night that you can do anything you want. Nobody's gonna chastise you for it,
And you let your imagination flow, which
and
is
even
what it's about, you know?
exactly, and I've been feeling that imagination has been disappearing as
Yeah.
time goes by, which people want more realistic ventures,
Mhm.
and I think it's like, I like when something is first unique, but also if it's got imagination to it and heart to it, that
Yeah.
really, like, pulls you into
Mhm.
it, and people who the thing with Halloween too is even people who really don't like it, they're
Mhm.
not going to, like, say, "No, they should not be, able to go out trick or treat." They're not, like,
Yeah.
stopping it. They're still like,
Yeah.
it's for kids, they'll have fun, and they'll
Mhm.
just go do something else. Or you'll have, like, people who will watch horror movies that night instead of going out trick or treating or going out
Right.
to a party.
Yeah. I say do all the above.
Right, exactly. You get that feel of, like, the one night of being scary and scared and
And
enjoy it for
cozy.
what it is,
Yeah.
cozy and nostalgic,
Cozy.
and because 'cause we're going into the more traditional holidays of
Mhm.
Thanksgiving and Christmas, which are more
Christmas.
pure in
Right.
nature,
Right.
as opposed to the devil's night of Halloween.
Exactly. Right,
Um
right. Such an interesting history too, but I also for years, I love we talked about this the last time, Turner Classic Movies does a great Halloween pre-Halloween and Halloween night, the week before leading up to and the night, a great lineup of classic old horror films,
Oh,
and
yes.
that's always on all day long as I'm putting my candy stuff together for the kids and making us a pumpkin soup, I have that on in the background.
That's
Mhm.
perfect. And
Mhm.
there are a ton of great classics out there, great classic films, and
Oh,
there are way too many to go into it because
yeah,
there's
yeah.
so many, and they're so some are campy, like some are scary, some are suspenseful, or some are family oriented.
Right, right.
So I mean, you can take your pick with what you
Yeah.
want to watch. And
But this was such a fun one, Ben. Thank you so much because I have a 4.5-year-old niece, and I am definitely she may know it, I don't know, but I'm definitely gonna introduce her to it
yeah, I
because
think
I wasn't familiar with it,
I
and
feel that many don't know this one, especially because it's not readily available on Netflix,
Mm,
or you have to go to
mm.
Tubi or to get the DVD. Like, it has no Blu-ray edition, and I think it's a shame because it's like,
Um,
especially because people know Catherine O'Hara. If you market it with Catherine O'Hara and Gilda Radner,
and Gilda Radner.
people
Yeah,
know those names,
yeah.
especially my generation and younger,
Oh, yeah.
because of Schitt's Creek, and they're
Absolutely.
familiar with Beetlejuice,
Oh,
and
yeah,
so, like, I feel
and
like
yeah.
it would be a something that we should save
Mhm,
and make
mhm.
sure it's there because
Yeah.
it's a fun. I wish they would bring it back, but I wish they would have more Halloween specials come back from the older days because they're so interesting and fun,
Yeah,
and,
I agree. I although, well, we'll get into this when we start talking about Mad Monster Party, but I think I really I don't think I watched anything on Halloween because I was so into getting my costume together, and there was always friend stuff to do, parties, whatever. But I did babysit, like, when I was 11 and 12 years old, the neighbors, and leading up to Halloween, not Halloween night, there would always be some, like, Fred didn't the Flintstones have a Halloween special or
I
something?
think
There was
everybody had
something.
a look
Yeah,
at what I mean, everybody had their own Halloween special that had a popular show at that time.
yeah,
Flintstones, I'm sure. I mean, you could watch Scooby-Doo,
Scooby-Doo, right, that's it.
was very much every time is Halloween because somebody was always in a mask or a
Yep,
costume of some sort,
right, something
um,
scary.
something scary. But, yeah, I think the Flintstones did. I'm sure the Jetsons did.
Oh, sure they did.
Garfield had one,
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's right. That was a good
um,
one, actually.
and then
That fun one.
there's a Raggedy Ann and Andy, which the people who don't know that, they were dolls of red hair. They had a
Red
special
balls.
called the pumpkin that wouldn't smile, and that's another nostalgic one for me. I grew up watching that one, but it's that one's a little more campier
Okay.
in the way things are. But that's also about another adult who doesn't want her nephew to go out trick or treating because she's against it. But then she
Uh,
learns her ways thanks to
mhm.
Raggedy Ann and Andy being the pioneers to push the message forward. So yeah, those had messages to them, and
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
if you I always find that if you do have some comedy and some love and some imagination on top of that, it's not just pointing it in your face of like, this is what Halloween needs to be.
Absolutely. No,
Um,
no, that doesn't work.
no,
You can't do that.
no, exactly,
No, people don't like to be talked at. Yeah, gotta
exactly.
entertain them. Yeah. It's so fun. So fun. I
So
loved it.
what was your favorite moment?
Well, that's hard to say, but I would have to say what drew me in because it's the first time, and I've seen it probably 3 times now. I think it was when the kids were walking away because the adults were talking about how they wanted to make it their own thing, and they were kind of dejected, but they were walking into this magical neighborhood. And that's where it started to take off for me because not only was I drawn into the color, like we were talking about all the rich colors of the fall, but I knew something special was gonna happen because these kids were then they go back to bed and they're, like, disappointed, and then the magic starts when the babysitter shows up.
Right.
So, I think that whole thing. And then I have to say I loved Malicious's disgusting hors d'oeuvres.
Yes. Pickled herring,
Meringues.
balls,
Yes,
meringue.
I mean, right.
They're an acquired taste, she says.
Ew.
And you even
Yeah.
have a moment, in during the party where they're like, "Oh, who screamed? Oh, must've been Malicious's desserts."
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
malicious.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, it's
malicious.
just and, anytime with the witch.
The wit
The witch, I was just enamored by the witch.
I mean, she is so much fun to watch, and I was gonna
Mhm.
say that's pretty it's hard to pick a scene per
Yeah, it
se, but
is.
I think anytime the witch is able to, like, break the fourth wall and look at you, you see exactly what she's feeling. Her screams when she's running away from everybody,
Oh, yeah.
she's so, like, wailing, like, "Get me out of here." And
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
but she's also very good-hearted with it all.
Very
And
good-hearted.
she's just trying to like make Halloween fun, and that's all she
For
wants to do.
everybody. That's right.
But she's getting people are misunderstanding what is going on, and you
Mhm.
know, but
And that breaking up the fourth wall to me was sort of an homage to Oliver Hardy,
mhm.
Laurel and Hardy, where he would do that and just, like, roll his eyes, go, "Ugh,
Yeah.
can you believe this?" I loved it. It's classic.
Exactly. When in it, and the thing is, breaking the fourth wall, as many know, is it can be done really well, and it could also not be done really well if it doesn't
Right.
work. It has
No.
to land.
To
But
be masterful.
I think because we're following her, she's kind of talking to the audience
Mhm.
throughout the whole thing
Mhm.
about like, "Ugh, I'm just washed up. I need to have this happen." And then when she's walking with us, we're following her, listening to all them trash talk her house, and she's just like looking at the audience, like, "Oh man."
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
it's
every time
so
she goes, I love her expressions. Every time she has, like, a big smile on her face, then she goes to, like, a "Huh?" And she has, like, a big frown on her face, like, "Huh?"
Yeah,
It's
right.
just perfect. It's
Frothing from one
great.
between the lips. Yeah. I love it. Hilarious. Oh,
Plus, it's got some camp value to it, which is always fun because Halloween is very
it's camp.
campy.
It's
It's very
campy.
campy. It's over
It's
the top.
funny. It's ridiculous. It's fun. It's silly. Yes. And that brings me to another memory. It used to drive me crazy as a kid, especially with girls, wanting to be something cutesy.
Mm,
I was one of those kids that I wanted to be something horrifying. The only cute thing I went as was a nurse once when I was 4, and after that, I said, "No more of this. No more.
right.
I wanna scare people." And he was like, "Little Bo Peep," and all this ugh,
Now
no.
you've just I just thought of something here
Mhm,
because you have the 4 main townspeople. You
mhm,
have malicious and rotten, who are the evil side and the bean
yeah.
side of things, and then you have goodly and nicely, who are the kinder side. And when they decide of what they want to be, malicious wants to be a fairy princess, totally opposite, and
Yes,
rotten wants to be a priest or a minister,
ooh,
but goodly wants to be Attila the Hun,
Still the Hun,
and
right?
nicely wants to be a vampire. And it's
Vampire.
like total opposite, which is kind of what, I always liked being a vampire at Halloween time because it was an easy costume, but it also was like I always enjoyed the over the top campiness of Count
Absolutely.
Dracula. And
And,
man,
a vampire has some kind of style and
yes,
swagger and
exactly.
charm. So,
Exactly.
you're always styling if you're a vampire.
That's right. Because you're a
Mhm.
count. You're always
That's
a count.
right. You are royalty.
That's exactly.
Mhm. Mhm. That's right.
Oh,
Mm. Love it. But I had my oldest brother, I came from a family my father was an actor, my mom's father was a stage manager on Broadway, and my brothers were into acting, and my oldest brother loved to do makeup stuff on me, and I'm telling you, I must have been the most horrifying 7 and 8 and 9-year-old out there on the streets. We would get those wax scars, I'm sure people would look at me and go, "Oh my god, who did that to that child?"
right?
But I loved
That
it.
poor
I
child.
that poor child. I loved the look on their faces like, "Yeah, it's
Oh,
bad, isn't it?"
that's I mean, when you're really going for it, it's like you want to really go for it if you can, because that makes it even more people will remember that and be like, "I was out trick or treating, and I saw someone who was a Frankenstein monster that had looked like they had real scars on their necks." And yeah,
Yeah,
it just really makes it a more memorable occasion.
absolutely.
Or like
You've done your duty.
or if you found like a really cool mask to wear that was like, "Oh, you got that mask? I didn't get that mask. I wanted to, but I didn't get that one."
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
another way to make your friends feel jealous and envy, of course.
Yeah. Yes. Loved it.
Uh, no, but I mean, that was Witches' Night Out,
So
and
fun. Please see it, people.
such
Please.
a
It is so
rewarding
fun.
experience, I think, especially if
Yeah.
you're into cartoons and older cartoons,
Mhm.
because it still has a modern feel to it today. And I think it has a good message that we've kind of forgotten in years past and good to bring back and remember. And
Yeah.
also, I mean, you get to hear Gilda Radner. You
And
get
Catherine O'Hara.
probably one of my favorite comedic performances that she
Yeah.
gives. And Catherine O'Hara is also great.
Incredible.
And you won't recognize their voices at all because
Nope.
they're so
Mm-mm.
unique. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's it. That's
Well, thank you. Thank you, Ben. I loved it. So thank
So our next full-length animation this time. So we had our double feature of our intro, which is
you.
Night Out, and then we go into our main attraction, which is Mad Monster Party. Now, Danielle, I will
Yes.
let you start this one because you introduced me to it and I had never seen it before. I'd heard of it, seen
Mhm.
pictures, but never really like had a chance to watch it. And so I decided to buy the Blu-ray
Yay.
to get it to watch, and quite a fun experience. So let's start off. You can start off the festivities with this.
Well, I will. This this one is so interesting to me because in the LA area, I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. As I said before, I don't remember this ever being played at Halloween. So, where it became nostalgic for me were two places. You'd see it in the summertime during summer vacation or traditionally on Thanksgiving morning. So,
Interesting.
isn't it? So, I have memories of my mother's wonderful cooking, wafting through the house and watching Mad Monster Party. That's it. But what I love, you've got, first of all, Rankin Bass, who, as you mentioned, did all of the Rudolph, the Santa Claus is Coming to Town, A Year Without a Santa Claus, all these wonderful Little Drummer Boy. I think they did that one.
Yep.
And so they have that, I guess you call it the stop motion
Yep. Stop motion animation.
animation. But here you are in an all-star cast with Boris Karloff
Good old
as
Boris.
the Dr. Frankenstein,
I
okay?
mean,
I mean,
when you think of Halloween,
right?
and he's a staple. He knew how to be witty, fun, but also horrifying at the same time. He was perfect.
Absolutely. Perfect. And you've got the homage to the Universal Monsters, which, of course, he was part of that.
Exactly.
And then you have Phyllis Diller, one of my favorite all-time comedians, coming in as the monster's mate.
Right.
The creature's mate, really, yeah.
And that's sort of just like Phyllis Diller, very out there casting for that. You wouldn't have expected to see her make an appearance. And of course, they made the monster's mate look exactly like Phyllis Diller, right down to almost the nose and the hair.
The nose, the hair, and the beads, and the dress, and the shoes.
And that the monster's name is Fang, which was her husband's name.
Right.
So it's like, okay, we're getting a little tongue-in-cheek here, a little winky to the audience here.
Right. And it was done in the 60s, and that was in her heyday, and she went on past that, but I mean, that was really when she was a top star. But you actually did have Boris Karloff and Phyllis Diller voicing these.
Yep.
So that was amazing, and this was I think this was released in the theaters.
Yep.
It was before it was before my time. I wouldn't have seen it in the theaters, but I saw it on TV years later being replayed. But then you had this amazing voice actor really, but a voice artist doing most of the rest of the voices and iconic voices like Peter Lorre. He did, which
Wallace
was
Beery.
Well, yes, and
was
who
Count
was
Dracula.
Yes.
He was the Count Dracula voice.
Count Dracula, and you had him doing this Felix Flanken, who is the doctor's nephew, who is the kind of they call him the black sheep of the family because he's normal. His mother was,
He's
the black
also,
sheep.
he has that goofiness of like, I'm going to trip and fall on everything. And
Sneezing
he
all the
makes
time.
problems when he's not meaning to. He's very well meaning. And
Exactly. Yeah. Just darling. And his voice was Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart. Yeah. You have that, I'm just going to go over here. And, I'm just not good at this kind of thing. I'm just going to make some potions. Well, I'm just not,
Works in a drugstore,
Yep,
makes,
exactly.
serves soda. He's a soda jerk.
Yep. But he's a soda jerk being like a chemist.
Right. Wants to be. Right.
Be.
A wannabe chemist. It's in his blood, of course.
It is.
The doctor's his uncle, the mad doctor. And then you have this bombshell who I guess I'm not sure. I loved Francesca. I love Francesca, but I'm not really sure why she's there. I'd love to hear other than
her character is definitely something that pops up in a lot of those Universal films where you have like the sidekick or the helper, the doctor's helper is usually like a bombshell. Mm-hmm. You also see it in the film Young Frankenstein with Inga being the bombshell helper. Yeah. Or, she's also the damsel in distress later on. So
but she's also pretty conniving.
Oh, she's at many times you think that she's the villain of the whole
thing. She has a plan.
She's got the plan and she's gonna stick to it. She's got her She's going
Yeah.
to learn the secrets of Dr. Frankenstein, which the plot of this is pretty much just Dr. Frankenstein's ready to retire. He has come up with this new potion that will end life as we know it.
Mhm.
And he's going to bring all the monsters, sort of like a union meeting, as it were, to say he's retiring, and he's giving all of his secrets to his nephew, who no
Right.
one knows and has never met. So, of course, all the monsters are upset about this because they should have it. And
Mhm.
Phyllis and the monster decide to go into cahoots to try to
Mhm.
steal the information from or get rid of the nephew. And
Mhm.
then you have Francesca with the count.
With the count, right.
She manipulates the count into being together in this to get rid of him, and she can seduce him, and he can bite him and make him go away. And of
Right.
course, because he's such a bumbling fool, every time he looks down, and he always looks at the right moment where Count tries to fly in.
You're right. And the fangs come out and they
But
miss him. Yeah.
so yeah, the
But you
main
also have the Invisible Man. We forgot the Invisible Man and the Wolf Man.
that's right. Oh yes, there's some Claude Rains and Lon Chaney Jr. voices.
That's right. And then you also have the, creature from the Black Lagoon, which I don't think he actually talks, but he blows a lot of water out of his
Right.
mouth. Yeah.
And then you also have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yes. Yes.
And there's one more. Oh, the Mummy.
Oh, the Mummy, of
How
course.
could
How
I
could
forget
we
the Mummy?
forget the
Because Boris
Mummy?
Karloff was the
Mhm.
Mummy. Boris Karloff was the original Mummy in the
That's
Universal
right.
films. So it's
That's
like all
right.
of I think probably he played probably all of these roles at some point, perhaps.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And we'll go on, but I just absolutely have a fascination with miniatures. I love miniatures, and I loved the castle to me is so cool.
And
It's so cool.
for those who may not know the Rankin and Bass, they always with
Mhm.
stop motion animation, they always had these puppets and
Mm.
figures that they would move one at a time to get the frame. They'd shoot the frame with one hand moved, and and it would flawlessly come together as if they were moving right in
Yeah.
front of you. And
Yeah.
this was one of their few full length animation.
Mhm.
This was done with puppets and miniatures.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
it's an hour and a half long. So it's like the others are all 20 minutes
Right.
or
This
less.
was a full length in the theater release,
So they
I believe.
definitely put their money into the budget went into these gorgeous miniatures. The
Mhm.
island looks amazing.
It does.
Even
The
all the
ship.
other the ship looks amazing. All the other characters the captain who we just see for a bit,
Yeah.
they're all fun in their own way. They're all uniquely drawn and
Mhm.
move, and they each have their way of moving. Francesca is doing the whole sultriness, and
Right.
Dr. Frankenstein's like being his like usual like dapper. I'm a scientist looking at the test
Right.
tubes, and even getting Phyllis Diller's moves like she does in her comedic shows, her stand up. And she's like walking the same way, moving her head the same way,
Yeah.
playing with her beads the same way.
Yes. Yeah, it was really brilliant. I mean, really brilliantly done, and I did you see the documentary that was attached?
Yeah, it's a very short documentary, but
It's very short, but was this mostly done in Japan? Because I
yes,
know the artist okay,
yeah,
that's what I thought.
they went
Okay.
over. They did a lot of the stop motion animation. They did a lot over in Japan with
Mhm.
their
Team. Yeah.
team. In fact, they might. So they got a lot of outside help with that because they knew where the professionals who could do this because in Japan they did all of the stop motion Godzilla movies
That's
and
right.
puppets with Godzilla, and so they knew they were the people who could do the miniatures as well. They did it very
Mhm.
realistic, so
Mhm.
and that's why you get this beautifully designed
Oh
set,
my gosh.
and
Oh my gosh.
everything is just perfectly fine-tuned, and nothing looks like it's been half-baked, and everything's got a place. Even the flower pot that's just sitting on the shelf is in, like, the perfect spot, so they were very meticulous with this, which is why it took a lot longer for them to get this finished,
Yeah, yeah.
um, as opposed to doing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which was just miniatures, and all you had was snow in a cave pretty much,
Basically,
but
that's
still you
it.
had a beautiful Santa Claus castle, which kinda reminded me a little
Oh,
the
no good.
of Dr. Frankenstein's castle.
Yeah.
Oh, and then of course we have It that comes later
It.
on, which was what character was that? He was the I guess King Kong. It was King Kong.
King Kong, right, and it
Was
wasn't
another
invited.
It wasn't invited because he would cause chaos, and he does
That's right.
cause chaos at the end of during the climax of the movie, so,
Absolutely.
but of course, that's
Yeah,
also another homage to that time with not only the Godzilla movies, but also the Universal time when 1933's King Kong came out, so he was a
right.
very popular commodity with many sequels after that, so people knew
Mhm,
of that, and it makes
mhm.
sense to be a huge monster coming in to wreak havoc, so
Yes, absolutely, and they kinda bring it all together. This also has a soundtrack, which I
right,
have had, and it's a fun soundtrack. It
right.
really is, and I believe the woman who does the main song, Mad Monster Party, which is very jazzy and very cool, is the one that, voiced Francesca,
Yes.
and great voice, and, of course, you have the iconic "It's the Mummy" song that I play every Halloween, which and then they have this band called, what is it? Little Tibia and the Fibulas, which
Yes,
are
and
skeletons that look like the Beatles with
they
Beatle
look like
wigs.
exactly, they look exactly like the Beatles with the long hair
Yes.
and the bopping playing the guitars on the,
Guitars, right.
uh I really enjoyed that moment of having them be the Beatles and also having this fun song to sing.
That's
Um,
right,
so
in the party room.
the woman who played Francesca was Gail Garnett.
Yes, and she didn't she sing the main
It looks like
theme?
Ethel Ennis
Oh,
sang the
Ethel
title track,
Ennis. Okay, okay, I was mistaken. Okay,
and
Ethel Ennis, what a great voice.
oh my gosh,
What a
it's
great
such a
voice.
and it definitely it has that it's it has a James Bond feel to it as well, that, like, that sexy and
Smoky.
manipulative song that's coming in
Mhm.
and out.
It's
She sells that song,
my
really
gosh.
well. And just going back to the person who the man who voiced all the other characters was Alan Swift. So
Unbelievable.
he did everyone except for Francesca, the monster's wife, and Boris Karloff's character.
Right.
And so
Unbelievable.
and since we're in the world of voiceovers,
Mhm.
it's amazing to think of you don't hear too many other people who would do multiple voices and do them very well and unique and distinctly. I mean,
Mhm.
Mel Blanc is probably the grandfather of all of it who could do anything,
Right.
but Alan Swift has the impossible task almost to be not only these characters, but also do a Jimmy Stewart impersonation, do a Wallace
Peter
Beery
Lorre.
impersonation, Peter Lorre, like all these people with unique voices themselves. And
Mhm.
I mean, that's I just think of how much stress is on you for that to make sure it sounds like that because
Mhm.
audiences will know
Mhm.
if you do it right or not. And
Yeah.
everything was just perfect.
Spot on.
Everything I
Spot
was
on.
sitting there going, "That is Wallace Beery. That is Peter Lorre." Um,
Yeah, spot on. Was he part of that documentary? Because I saw another
yes,
documentary, yes, okay, where he said this was a delight to him, which I always love to hear, because that's what he used to do as a kid. He used to see these people in the movie theater or whatever and entertain his friends with these voices, so it just came absolutely naturally to me, to hi that's what he said to
right,
me, just like, "I of course I can do this, of course I can."
right.
And he did, and it was amazing.
I
And
mean,
also the Italian cook, did he do the Italian
yes, he did
cook?
the Italian cook as
Oh my
well.
god, hilarious.
That was,
The chef,
the chef is hilarious.
yes. The octopussy soup,
Close,
octopussy soup.
but I
Uh,
mean, yeah, you would never have thought that that was different. You
no,
would have thought it was different people,
absolutely,
'cause
absolutely.
even the inflections and the style is not the same. Each one has its own unique take,
The
and
registers, the range, the tones,
no one sounds the same at
no,
all.
nope. I would
Um,
never have known until I saw
yeah,
that. Never
exactly.
knew.
So it's just a testament to what voice actors can do,
Absolutely.
when they
Yeah.
get a chance to put their talent forward in something like
Mhm.
that. Plus, the studios probably love it 'cause, they don't have to pay lots of actors. They can just get the one actor to play
An
all these
actor.
parts. But
Yeah.
it then becomes like a very impressive feat.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm. Yeah. And I'm sure he worked consistently
oh, I'm sure.
throughout his life because he could do that, and I'm not sure, I wanna look that up. I'm not sure if he was also an actor in addition to being a voice actor. I'm not sure, but, I mean, he certainly was a good actor because he did these voices
Well,
amazingly.
and, he also did another popular series of the time called Underdog. He was the
I
voice
loved that.
of
He was the voice of
Underdog.
Underdog?
Yep,
I loved Underdog. Oh,
and,
I thought Underdog was voiced by Wally Cox.
unless, well, maybe he just did some, looks like he did some.
Okay. That was a fun
Yeah,
one.
Wally Cox did Underdog.
Okay.
Alan Swift played a lot of various characters. Simon Bar Sinister.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
he played it looks like the evil person.
Yeah, like
He- he-
probably the supporting cast. He probably did almost all the supporting cast
right,
voices.
exactly.
Right, right.
But that's one of his major
Mm.
contributions. And looks like he did vocal effects for Tom and Jerry cartoons.
Oh my gosh. Well, there
So,
you go. Yeah.
and then later on, he did some TV films like TV sitcoms like Kate and Alley and The
Mm,
Equalizer. So back in the
mhm.
80s, he turned to more
On
acting in front of
camera.
a camera.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So,
Oh, that's wild. Well, he was amazing. But I just let me ask you, because we kinda did this with This Island Earth. What was your impression or your first impressions when you watched Mad Monster Party? Because
okay.
I have so much, warm memories from childhood, so,
Right.
yeah.
And since I had never seen it beforehand, it was fascinating in a 2025 lens to watch it because but I mean, I do love Rankin and Bass, so I loved the animation, the style.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
loved all the actors in it. But I did find that it was kind of a product of its time, I think,
Mhm. Mhm.
because of the 60s feel that it
Mhm.
has in terms of the music and the
Mhm.
structure of the story. So I know when I talked to you, but I wasn't as I enjoyed the movie for what it is,
Mhm.
and I enjoyed listening to everything about it was like really, really fun. You have the the zombies as the fighter pilots going
Right.
after it, and there's lot to recommend it in terms of like it's just gorgeous and fun
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
exciting and interesting. And
Yeah.
I think for me, some of the things that were kind of a little out of left field for me was the
Uh-huh.
music. I loved the
Oh,
music, but I always didn't feel like it kind of made sense for them to just go into a song
I
for that
agree.
moment.
I
But
agree.
because I'm wondering if it had been trimmed down to 45 minutes instead of an hour and a
Mm.
half,
Mhm.
it may have been a little more of a. I think if they either should have gone all in on the musical portion of it
Mhm. Mhm.
or not.
Yeah.
Or
I
just had, like, the Mad Monster
Yeah.
Party theme at the
Yeah.
beginning,
Right.
because I think the most jarring is when all of a sudden out of nowhere, Phyllis Diller starts singing to her monster about, "You complete me," or "You and I are together always," and it's sort
Which
of just like
which
it didn't
Oh, I
quite
know. Yeah.
nothing led into that song, and
Yeah.
I went to school in musical theater,
Yeah.
and knowing, like, how songs should lead into something and carry it, they kind of just sort of felt like they were put in just to add more time,
Well,
um
yeah, to me, yes, or if one thing as you're talking that it occurred to me, if it was a full-length movie at the time that you'd bring a child to doing something for the parents,
Right,
you wonder, you know? Yeah,
but I
because
feel
that song was jarring, but the song that really used to drive me out of the room and then bring me back in again was the one Francesca sings to Dracula. It was
oh,
like, "I'm
okay,
outta here. I'm
yeah,
outta here."
it's like that comes out of left field too, and you're like, "Oh, okay, you don't need
And
that
it's
song."
romantic. Ew.
Yeah,
I mean, really? Ew. Yeah.
it's like that does slow it down, unless
Mhm.
it makes sense for her to maybe if she had had more of a villainess song to sing,
Yeah.
something about her plan of what she wants to do. Like, that's what Disney does so well with their songs
Yes.
is that the villain
Yes.
song always has something to do with what their plot is gonna be to move the story forward.
It's part of the
Um,
story. Mhm.
but
Yeah.
because I like everything about the story. I think it's fascinating to have
Yeah.
Dr. Frankenstein have a nephew who's sort of like a bumbling fool being in charge of everything, and then the monsters are all like they're supposed to be with each other, but they're all trying to get rid of this guy so they
Right.
can become the head honcho instead. And
That I'm totally in agreement with that.
I
The music,
I think the music is great on its own.
yes.
I'm sure listening to the soundtrack is
Yes.
like, "This is fun. This is great. This is Halloween feel."
Mhm.
But I think my thing through the whole thing, I did feel at times when the songs came in, I was sort of like looking at my watch a little bit,
Mm.
unless it was something that was like hilarious or something like
Like
that.
the Mummy song.
The Mummy song was funny, and or the Beatles
Yeah,
band played.
yeah. "It's the
uh, yeah,
mummy. It's the
exactly.
mummy." Yeah.
Yeah, and that was fun because it made sense they were watching a
The show.
performance, so
Right, right.
and I think if maybe the songs had been attached to, like, bring into what they're talking about, because then it kinda, like, disappears to another scene, and we don't really
Yeah.
get anything afterwards.
Yeah.
Cook sings, and then I mean, the chef is hilarious and the octopus is hilarious, but the song, I was sort of like, we don't really need a song here.
No, let's move it along. Let's get to the monster
Exactly.
party,
Let's get
please.
to the
Let's
monster
get to the
party.
party. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Because I loved all the manipulations that was happening because you had Frankenstein and the mate
yeah,
in their own schedule, and then you had Dracula and Francesca, and then Francesca switches sides throughout
right.
because she becomes more of a what was I thinking? I was under a spell of some sort.
Infatuated with Felix. Yes.
Exactly. Well, then I
Mhm.
also was sort of like, is she manipulating him again? But it didn't s later on, it doesn't feel like it because
No,
they're
no,
all together, like, running. Make She's trying to make him stand up for himself, and,
right,
she knows what the ins and outs are and where to go and how to
right,
find hiding places, and,
right. I
um
think my favorite scene, though, I have 2. Well, 3 actually, but when I was a kid, I was so fascinated by the miniatures that my favorite one is where the camera's kind of looking up a big staircase and the monsters are starting to arrive for the party.
Yes.
Love that. And then I loved after the party, after the big food fight and the parties and the dancing, when they're all sharing rooms in the castle. It's like you've got the monster and, Phyllis in one room, and then you've got I think the wolf man is sharing the room with the invisible man or one of those things, and he's howling at the moon. I love that.
Oh, yeah, and then because you have the Invisible Man's, like, covering you see him trying to cover his ears because he can't sleep because of the noise.
The
So
howling.
he gets up and starts walking around on his own, and,
Yeah.
uh, it's like, yep, this is like what happens when you share with,
A room,
other people who
bunk
you
up with people.
and it's like, "Okay, I'm not used to this. I need my beauty sleep," and,
Yeah, right.
um
But I love the little beds, like, in one room, there was, like, a bunk bed, in the other room, there were different kinds of beds, and I was like, because I loved dollhouses as a kid, so it was like, "Ooh, this is so cozy."
well, and it shows the as I was mentioning earlier about the care that they went in
Yes.
for, like, showing all the details,
Yeah.
and even the moat around the castle
Oh, wow.
when
Yeah,
he,
and the beach?
the beach scene
Oh,
and
yeah.
the arrival of the ship, and even the ship was like they still had that, like, menacing fog going in, and that's when you started to get introduced to some of the characters like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and the Invisible
Yeah.
Man, and,
Mhm.
uh
That hop on this ship going to the Isle of Evil, and that was my other favorite scene is when you get into the ship and you see the guys, the captain and his first mate or whatever driving it, and then he has to go down to the cabins to invite them to dinner. I love that because
yeah,
the detail in the cabins with the ship bunk beds and the weird old kind of rusty sinks and all, it was just brilliant. I loved
right,
it.
exactly,
Loved it.
and the nice thing, talking about some of these characters, they're all the way that they move, and they're each
Mhm.
specific to their specific character. Like Dr.
Mhm.
Jekyll is very suave as Dr. Jekyll, but he grabs his potion and just drinks it to become Mr. Hyde. And it's like, yep, this is how it's supposed to. The Invisible Man, you see him in his robe and just the
It's like
robe walking and the hat. He's kind of
floating.
that, just like, that's all it's I'm like going, how did they do that? Like, that must have been a puppetry illusion of some sort because I was like, to do an Invisible Man like that, like how do you go about you could have just had, like, just the camera move, and that
Yeah.
would have been
Yeah.
enough, but they went in and did the costuming for this
Yep.
guy,
Yep.
and of course, when he disrobes, you don't see anything at again,
Exactly. It
which
does
was perfect.
that's amazing.
It was perfect when he's, like, actually going after somebody because he
Mhm.
can sneak up on him that way, but when he's in his robe and hat, you see that moving about,
With the
you're
fez
like,
on it.
"Oh, there's the Invisible Man again."
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, I had never thought about that, but that must have been I'm curious now to know how they did that.
I
I
mean,
just
stop motion
accepted it.
animation is quite fascinating. I mean, you also
Mhm.
have, Harryhausen, who
Oh,
did
yes.
a lot of stop motion animation for,
Right.
like, King Kong and for
Yep.
all the monster movies a lot, and also
Mhm.
Clash of the Titans, and he was just a master at bringing
Right.
that make it
Also, Earth versus the Flying Saucers.
right.
Mhm.
Exactly, and
Mhm.
it's just he was so good at that stop motion animation, but Rankin and Bass really
Took it to
took it to the next level of actually making a whole story about it and using them using the stop motion animation as characters and making them come alive, and
right.
they do it superbly, and it
Yeah.
n never really looked
Mm-mm.
jarring, it always looked smooth,
Oh, it was
And
top notch.
just to think that they had to go like frame by frame to make it look like they're moving their hand to the side. I mean, just the small details of that.
Wow.
And so you have to be very meticulous.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I would be so stressed out. I'd be like, as a director, I'd be like, did we get that shot? Did you turn it correctly? I mean, I would have been like, nope, I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
going to do something else.
It's nerve-wracking. The tiny littlest, smallest movement. The patience, these people must have had the patience of Job, saints. I mean,
I
really,
mean,
how the time it took,
I mean,
you know?
I can
Ugh,
appreciate, even if I thought I have some reservations about the movie, I still find that it's a amazing piece of art to look at for the time and what they did and how they did it,
yeah.
because it just really, with the voice actors and the stop motion,
Mhm.
it's just like an interesting thing to watch and learn about what they went through and how they did it and
Right.
why did they come up with it this way,
Mm,
and there isn't a lot of information. The documentary is a very short one, and it really talks
yeah.
about like the fun that they had and where they went to do the shooting, but didn't really get into the nitty-gritty of like how they create. They did some, but
Mhm.
not as much as I wanted to be like, I wanna know like a behind the scenes of like,
Yeah.
how did they do the voiceovers first and then put in the I'm assuming that's probably what
That's
they did, because that's usually, you wanna see
yeah,
what their facials are doing so you
yeah.
can make the
Back in that
characters,
day, yeah, I think you're
especially
right.
with someone as animated as Phyllis Diller,
Correct.
you
Right.
wanna make sure it looks exactly like that in the
I'm
since she's
sure
so.
they had storyboards for
Yeah,
her and for Boris Karloff and for Alan Swift, but I remember and I don't know if it was part of this documentary, but I remember seeing an interview with Phyllis Diller, and of course, this guy interviewing her said, "I have to ask you about Mad Mossberg." She said, "Well, it was so fun." And Phyllis Diller actually was a supposed to be a brilliant pianist, so she was a musician as well. So she had fun with the song, but she said the one regret she had, she did not get to meet Boris Karloff. Their dates were not the same,
yep.
and he was flying in and out, and I thought that was really interesting to hear because she was, like, starstruck. You know, it's like,
Right?
"Darn, I didn't get to meet Boris
I know
Karloff."
that's always a hard part when you're in movies or
Mm,
animation, where you don't get to see everybody all the time, and you may be in
yeah.
a film with Meryl Streep, but never have a scene with her, and so you won't see
Mm.
her unless she's
Right,
around the set. Same with Boris Karloff is doing his lines, so
right,
he's not going to be on the set with Phyllis
right.
Diller at the same time.
Well, but the interesting thing is that their characters would talk to each other.
Right.
So that's the difference in animation. I mean, sometimes you can work with that other actor, but like in animation auditions, you don't.
Don't
You
yeah,
just answer them, you respond to them, and that's it.
and
So
it's up
they
to
had
the
different
animators then to make sure it looks seamless, that
exactly.
you
Right.
are actually talking, because you could be like Boris Karloff could have been in London
Right. Right.
recording, and
Right.
Phyllis here in the United States, and we
Right.
wouldn't know the difference, because once they put it together, it's
Yep.
all seamless,
Yes, yes.
and you don't always get to work and read with other person
No, you
while you're
don't.
at it's not like
It's rare.
stage or screen where you're on with somebody else and you have to banter off each other, or like what
Right.
we're doing now. It's like
Right.
it's like I would be in a different room and I could pretend to be like, "Ah, blah, 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 blah," and then you would be do you blah, 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 blah,
Blah, blah,
and
blah,
it
blah.
make sure that they're working with in tandem with each
Mhm.
other,
But
but
it's so rare, and especially in these days. I mean, for an animation audition, you don't. You don't
no.
work with other people, especially now that it's not in person anymore,
Right.
pretty much. And even commercials. If you do a commercial that's a dialogue, you're doing it on your own.
On your own, yep.
On your own.
Exactly. You have
Yep.
one line, you have to make it
And make it seem
perfect,
real and like
make
you're
it seem
responding.
real, make it
Yep.
exactly, especially if you're responding to
Yes.
something, because there
Yes.
could be a million ways that a person who's saying the line before you is gonna read it,
Exactly.
and that's why you always do multiple takes, so that way you can find that one that actually works well with each other.
That's right.
And
That's right.
I can only imagine with, like, this film and even with Witches Night Out, like, having to
Yeah.
redo, "Let's do 6 takes of this line. This specific
Mhm.
line needs to be really." And
Mhm.
or if I guess some nice part is if they've already recorded somebody
Mhm.
else's, you can hear what they've said
And respond to
and
that
respond to that, but
organically.
that's not
Yeah.
always a given either, so,
No, it's not. And
um
back in this day, I really don't know if that would have been part of what they do now. It probably would be. But
right.
I in the '60s, I don't know.
I don't
I
that
doubt it.
'cause you would
Yeah.
have to 'cause our recording is so different, like, we're recording
Yeah.
over online
Right.
with each other,
Right.
whereas they had tapes
That's
and
right.
spools
Master
of film,
tape.
and it's like
Mhm.
you'd have to like take off this one and put it on. It would just be too much to deal
Mhm.
with, to have to hear another person's voice along with your voice, because they'd have to do all sorts of changes, and that
Right.
takes time and that takes money. So
Right. Right, and
they're
time
not
is
gonna
money.
time is money, and they've got a budget, and they can't go over
Yeah.
budget because you wanna
Yeah.
hear Boris Karloff's reaction to this line.
Right, right. Really masterful. You have to look at it and just say, with that kind of the technology of that time, unbelievably masterful from the artists, the voice actors, the actors, the musicians, the people who painstakingly moved one arm or an eyebrow at a time.
Yeah, yep,
Wow. It's worth it for that. But it also for both of us, what we were talking about is mostly our nostalgic connection to the 2 films. Mine, Mad Monster Party, yours, Witches Night Out, and it's like, it just brings back the host of memories of watching them in these special times, you know?
exactly, and there, as I think we mentioned earlier, it's hard to find, especially kids-themed
Mhm.
Halloween full-length films that are Halloween-based or monster-based. They're far and few between. There's more short films than there are the full-length kids'
Yeah.
Halloween movies. Or they usually Disney will do stuff that's like TV movies, but there's no feature length, not many.
Mm-mm.
There's like not one coming out every year where it's like one's gonna become, and that's, I think, I'm sure it still is around, but for me, myself personally, I never
Mhm.
feel like there's anything new that's come out recently that's on TV or something like that's specific to a genre or a holiday. They don't come back again. It's not like it becomes a recurring, like, this is a family night event. I
A
always watch this.
tradition.
I mean, I still keep my tradition alive with some of these, with Witches Night Out and with Great Pumpkin, just
So
because
do
I
I.
nostalgia. I mean, that's this podcast
That's
has a
what we
lot of
grew up on.
nostalgia to it. Exactly. And
Right.
people always will come back to nostalgia, even if you don't think about it. There is something you'll remember. I remember that. I remember that. And so that's what I think is missing a lot of times, is that we don't have traditions like
Yeah.
that anymore.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
know that with the current climate of with COVID and having to be spread
Mhm.
apart and all that, it kind of has sort of
Mm.
reshuffled everything. But
Yeah.
even in like the late '90s and 2000s, I never things started to go away from that family night in front of the television.
It
Um,
did. It did, and it maybe because more electronic devices came out and people
the internet
were.
came out, and
Yeah.
but
Phones, internet, yeah.
it's possible, like, because I'd never seen Mad Monster Party, so it's
Mhm.
likely that maybe they had stopped recurring it on
They
every
did.
year,
They did.
and so I would never have seen it if they didn't show it, because I was always on board to watch every night, like, some sort of
Yeah.
movie or cartoon that just kept going. It's like, you knew that this was Halloween, so this is going to happen, I'm gonna watch
Yeah.
this. So I'm
Right.
sure that because I didn't know of it
Yeah.
until later in life, and now actually watching it, it's like, maybe if I had seen it
Mhm.
back in those days, that I might have more of a fondness for it, uh,
Mhm.
and I and listeners, as I'm not saying this is still a pretty terrific film in terms of, there's just
Yeah.
some reservations that I have for it, but
Yeah.
that's only because of
Yeah.
my generation now watching
Right.
it
And
in
watching it as an adult.
watching it as an adult, and in 2025 standards
Right.
of
Right.
many of us don't have the capacity to sit through all this. I mean, I sit through films all the time because I love watching the film.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I can definitely feel like if something is slowing down, that people in this
Mhm.
generation
Mhm.
will skip it or want to watch something else
Mhm.
because uh,
Right.
it's not fast enough for them, or they don't like
Right.
the music coming out of nowhere.
Right.
And
Right.
but
Well, and even I have to say, even as a kid, and this was an annual thing every Thanksgiving and every summer, but when certain things would come up, like the romantic song that Francesca sings, that was my cue to go get a snack.
right,
I just didn't wanna sit still for it. I
right,
just had to run around the room until a monster came in, and then I was happy to sit down again. But
exactly.
that was that.
And
So,
that's when I was saying, if they removed all the songs and maybe just had it as a supplemental
yeah, like
disc to
soundtrack.
go with
Just
soundtrack, just
right.
specifically just songs for that weren't in the film, except for the title song. I think the title song is fine,
I
and
love it.
for the credits too, have the same
Mhm.
thing, bookend each other, but just trim it down to just the talking part and the script,
Mhm.
and it would have been like nonstop movement, because it moves like gangbusters whenever the scenes
It
are
does.
even. And even if you might roll your eyes with the doofy nephew who's like
Right.
falling over and has a little nasal sound and it always has some allergy happening to him, and
Love it.
but it still is like it's quite fun to enjoy,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
also it's a way of keeping those classic monster movies alive
Alive,
because
and even some of the classic films, because you're
exactly.
thinking about the Jimmy Stewart, the him working in the drugstore kind of reminds me of It's a Wonderful Life,
Right, right,
you know?
exactly. He's
Yeah,
got that same hometown grown
that's
feel.
right.
He's out of place in a Dr.
That's
Frankenstein. You wouldn't have thought that of course, he's the black sheep, so
right.
he's the outlier that doesn't know
Yes.
anything about what his Uncle Frankenstein does.
Right,
Uh,
right.
and,
And
um
according to Dr. Frankenstein, of course, his mother was also the black sheep of the family because she did have a great flair for witchcraft. However, she just wanted to marry a traveling salesman
Right,
and settle
exactly,
down.
and
Yeah,
she wanted to settle down. She didn't wanna do any more black magic, and
that's right. That's
she left
right.
that to Dr. Frankenstein to
That's
take
right.
of that
And
side
the
of
other
the
still
family.
right, right.
And hence you get, Felix,
Felix.
who is a
Yeah,
sort of bumbling, everyday person going
every
about his life,
man. Mhm.
wanting to survive and become successful.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and when the film ends, we don't know what happens to Felix or anything afterwards, so it's another ambiguous sort of ending where you're just like, it ends, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Okay, well, what happens? Did anyone get out alive? Did anything happen?" I there were some moments too, and this is a very Rankin and Bass trope, I would say, is
Mhm.
where, like, something's happening outside, but you, like, get no reaction of what's happening on inside. So, like,
Right.
when King Kong is destroying the castle, I'm like, Dr. Frankenstein is supposedly sleeping, but I'm like, "How is he sleeping through this? How can he be sleeping through this?"
Yeah, I have to say, again, with the full-length film, and I remember being a kid, I remember watching all these things, but by the time we got to that point, Danielle was out eating some hors d'oeuvres
Right.
because, I'd seen the monsters, that's what I came for, and when King Kong's destroying everything, it was like, "Okay, yeah,
Okay,
alright,"
time for some Halloween candy.
so alright, or, at Thanksgiving in my case,
Yep,
go out and enjoy the party.
yep,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah, but yeah, but, I mean, it's just a hoot. It's just really nostalgia.
It is a very funny film, especially if you get in on the jokes of what the monsters are. If you know some of these, or the Beatles references, or the zombies flying the
The
single
ace
engine planes to
You're
shoot
right.
down, and that's a very reference to King Kong the movie itself,
You're
because
right.
it does happen in the climax of King Kong with the
That's right.
single engine fighter planes, and
Right.
but then
Yeah.
a lot of great nostalgic references and
Mhm.
homages
Yeah.
made towards these great films
Mhm.
that are still around. I mean, I it amazes me that when they learn about them and see them, they're still very popular and they're being remade. So obviously the legacy is still there if they're being
Yeah.
remade into different styles, because we just had a
Mm.
Frankenstein come out this year.
Right. It's supposed to be
And
more in line with the original Mary Shelley,
right.
right? Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's just a sort of legacy of all
Oh,
the classic
absolutely.
monster films that people grew up with, that
Mhm.
and then the nice thing about this is when a remake does come out, they'll sometimes re-release the old
Yes.
classics to say,
Yeah.
this is the original of
Right.
what this is going into," and,
Right.
so you can
Right.
introduce another generation to these
Right.
more
Exactly.
gothic, more
Mhm.
traditional, scary, suspenseful movies.
Mhm. And
Uh,
there are a lot of good ones
oh,
out
yeah,
there.
they're all
Lot
I mean, Frankenstein and Dracula are probably the 2
iconic.
classics to actually, like, start with, or The
Right.
Bride of Frankenstein.
Love
Um,
that.
that was a that's I'll say right here, that was a missed opportunity with Phyllis Diller, is to not have her hair be in the big, huge.
I know. I agree.
I
I
mean,
agree with
I
that.
get what they were going for with the fact that it's Phyllis Diller playing Phyllis Diller pretty much.
Right.
So they want to make sure they hammer it in, but
You're right.
I think it would have been still as Phyllis Diller with the huge hair,
I agree.
with the streak
Yes.
of lightning,
With her dress and her
with the
beads and her
dress, with
shoes
I mean,
and her
everything else
face.
is I mean, she would have looked like Marge Simpson almost.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's right. I think, yeah, I don't know who made that executive choice, but I
I
would
mean,
have done that.
it could have also been too difficult to have a hair stuck. I mean, it might have. Who
Well,
knows? Who
look
knows
at
what
the
the
hair they had her in was pretty wild.
right? I mean,
So
that
how
was
much
very.
different could it have been, to
I
go
I think
vertical?
maybe they just didn't think about it.
And I love the character Yetch.
Yetch.
That's the Peter Lorre character,
Right, and
Yetch.
he's enamored by Francesca and
Of
tries
course.
to woo Francesca, and Francesca's just like, "Get away from me, you crazy imp."
You're a creep.
Yeah,
Oh, she
exactly.
told me to creep. Oh.
And it is funny that sort of the Igor character Fetch becomes sort of even more evil. I kind of was like, I wish he had just sort of stayed his like usual goofy self while still
Yeah,
trying and trying. Because once he became evil,
it was weird.
it was like as little out of character.
Mhm,
Because
mhm,
Peter Lorre in his films can be very creepy, but also very
mhm,
loving and like goofy. And
and very
I
charming.
think in this film, because there's so many other characters that are already evil to
Mhm.
begin with, he could have just stayed that another bumbling like monster
Yeah,
to go
yeah.
with Felix.
It took a
And
turn.
yeah,
It took a turn.
but no
These
more so
turns, of
than
course, I would just would I was probably oblivious to it when I was a kid
well,
because
and no more so than Francesca going from evil to nice on a dime because she fell in love.
right,
And but
right.
that's the times were like that where it's like just like, "Oh,
I'm in love.
I'm in love now. I met you 2 seconds and I'm in love."
It's right.
So, uh, that's
Of
just how
course.
gotta keep the movie going.
Keep it going. Keep that
Don't ask
plot on
questions,
moving
just
ahead.
don't ask questions, just keep going.
Keep going. Well, that's it. Yeah, but I am gonna get you the soundtrack.
Yeah, I'm gonna look. I'll
I'll
look for.
get it
I'm
for
gonna
you.
because
I'll
I did enjoy. I liked the songs. I thought the songs were fun and
Mhm.
creative, and I think had they come together a little better and maybe a little more character development or story related or moving, then it would have been like great. But I think also because you've got the song and then they talk about what they're going to do right after the song, it's like okay, you could have incorporated both of them together or something.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure, for
or like
sure.
or if you're gonna have a song between Felix and Francesca, it could have been a goofy love song
Mhm,
about like, "I've
mhm.
fallen in love with you, oh, lo."
But, it's so funny because I'm on your page with that, and that as a kid, remembering that, it would kinda drive me crazy, but I do remember showing this to my other niece when she was little, and for some reason, I thought, "Oh god, here comes the Francesca song," in my head, not saying it out loud. She loved it.
You just don't know. You don't know what,
She she thought it was I mean, she might have been 8,
oh,
9.
okay.
She thought it was romantic and fun and started humming it, so I thought, "Well, I was just a different kinda kid. They're
Well,
different kids," you
that's
know?
the thing. It's like, some people movies are subjective for
Yeah,
everyone, just like any type
yeah,
of art,
yeah,
and kids will react differently to what they're
yeah,
watching. You might scratch your head and be like, "Really? You thought that was the best scene? What
yeah.
about this scene? Oh, I didn't like that scene." And you're like, "Oh, okay." It's like, I mean, listen to the children. They're wise beyond what we
They
think
they
sometimes.
they are, and nothing was wrong with it, nothing wrong as a kid saying, "Oh, I think I'll scoot out and I'm more into the monster stuff," but
Right.
she loved the romantic fun stuff of it, so,
Exactly.
you know, hey, made me look at it a different way, and
Right.
I enjoyed it, but
Yeah,
she loved it.
it's definitely worth checking out,
Yeah,
and Danielle, I do thank you for
thank
introducing
you.
it to me so I can at least, like, say I've seen it and understand what they were going for at the time,
Yeah.
and again, kinda distrust that it's not a annual thing, like, I wish it
That
had
breaks
been.
my heart, that
Yeah,
breaks my heart. Yeah,
maybe, as I say, if I had been a youngster watching this and,
mhm,
uh,
sure,
I would have, like, maybe, been attracted to it a little bit more,
sure,
um,
sure.
but,
Oh, I think you would have, 'cause it was really part of the whole thing. It really was a
right,
nostalgic trip every time I
exactly.
see it. Yeah,
Exactly, and
yeah.
it's very interesting that you said it would come out in Thanksgiving and in,
In the summer.
summer, and it's like,
I
okay,
never saw it at
interesting.
Halloween.
Yeah, I feel like that they missed opportunity for the people programming to be like, "Why would you do that?"
I have
It'd be
no
like showing
clue.
an Easter movie at Thanksgiving or something,
I
or,
know.
at Halloween. It's like,
Oh,
that doesn't seem to work. It's like, nope.
I know. But you know what, though? It became my own personal kind of tradition, and like I said, when I watch it, I have memories of my mother's cooking. It was like that was played in the morning, so we'd have this big party, this big, wonderful Thanksgiving, and by the end of the day, when everyone was leaving, it was nighttime, they always played Santa and the Three Bears. So I was positioned between Halloween Halloween in the morning, Thanksgiving in the day, and Christmas came at night. Yep, there you go.
Exactly.
I was overloaded. I loved
Well,
it.
and quickly thinking about Mad Monster Party, it really isn't technically a quote, quote, "Halloween movie."
No.
Not in the sense of, like, it's, based around Halloween.
No.
It could
Right.
be, so I could see why it could be
Yeah.
presented anywhere, but I think because of the fact of the monsters, it would make more sense to have it during October,
I totally believe
or
that,
early
yeah.
November,
Right,
but
right. And then summertime, Ben,
I know,
summertime.
I feel like
What
there
the
should have been
hell?
Rankin and Bass should have done a summer film as well as the as the monsters.
Yes. Oh, yeah, and you know what? Did they I think they even did an Easter one.
They did, yeah, they did an Easter
Was
Bunny one.
Peter Cottontail, yeah.
Yep. And
Yeah.
I mean, for those who may not have seen any Rankin and Bass,
Mhm.
I mean, there's another longer film from Christmas time called The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, which is a
Yes.
very, I mean, that was made in the '80s, so they had better technology for these stop motion
Mhm,
animation, but there's still that flavor of what Rankin and Bass does, and it is
mhm,
beautiful storytelling.
mhm,
And it's also very unique because it's
mhm,
still got some lore and folklore and
mhm,
mythology attached to it,
mhm.
and so definitely worth checking. Any of Rankin and Bath's
I
is worth
agree.
checking out, no matter
Y
which one it is, be it the regular animation Frosty films or the
That's right.
stop motion Rudolph or Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Another
They're all
favorite of Another favorite Rankin and Bass of mine is "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," which
Oh,
had
I love that
the
one.
mice and
I
the clock, and
Yes,
that was always
yes,
one that came on every year as well, so,
absolutely,
it always gets you in the mood for the time that you're in. So, like,
absolutely,
these
and
films.
yeah, Frosty, I remember crying
Yeah.
at the end when
Oh,
when
yeah. Oh,
I don't
yeah.
wanna don't wanna
Because
give it away, but,
it's terrifying for kids to watch that kind of thing. Your friend is now gone. It's like, "Oh gosh." How very how very, but
Yeah.
see, again, it's interesting to look at how cartoons and animation from the '60s, '70s, and '80s
Mhm,
are so different from what we get now, which
mhm.
feel more wholesome and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
more safe now, as opposed to it felt like they were pushing sort of undercurrents of topics that we would think children wouldn't necessarily understand, but they
Like
didn't.
Lost? Yeah.
Yeah, like loss, like
Mhm,
kidnapping or
mhm,
distress, like things
mhm,
that happen in real life, and I think, we don't wanna caution children away from that kind of thing
mm-mm,
because I think it
mm-mm,
helps their minds as well
mhm.
understand more, which I think is
Yeah,
why Rankin and Bass is definitely one that, because they all have some sort of underlying message to it, be
yeah.
it friendship, be it name calling, be it,
Being different.
loneliness, being,
Being different, like Rudolph. He was
yeah,
what do they
being
call it?
different.
What's the song in Rudolph with the guy the elf that doesn't wanna make toys, he wants to be a dentist. It's
Right.
like misfit, you
Misfits,
know?
yep.
Nothing
Exactly,
wrong. They are
exactly,
actually the heroes. There you go.
exactly, and so that's why I feel like I think there's still, I mean, I know Rudolph is shown and Frosty is shown every year because it's
Yes,
definitely a
yes.
classic that needs to be seen all the time, so
And
it's
Year
nice.
Without a Santa Claus too, I think.
Right. Yep,
They have
that's
their
another
yeah.
Rankin& and Bass. They did a
Mhm.
lot of the Christmas,
Yeah.
and then they would branch off and do, like, a Halloween-esque and a
Right,
Easter one,
right, right.
but they're definitely always worth checking out and keep
Mhm.
reviving. Because
Definitely.
there's something special about each one, even if it's something that's campy and out of
Yeah,
left field like Mad Monster Party, it's still got there's still a misfit there who's
yeah.
trying to survive and trying to be the winner and the hero of the day, and
And actually does become.
it's nice to also see Dr. Frankenstein not be such a menace like he is in a lot of he's a nice, gentlemanly, old grandfatherly type who
That's right,
just
he's just
wants
a
to
little
retire.
different. That's
He
right,
just wants
just
to
wants to
retire. He
retire,
just wants to
happens to live in a castle, has monsters as friends, creates Francesca, builds
Right,
bodies, but he's a
right,
sweetheart,
right.
he's really got a yeah, got a good
Exactly,
heart. Mhm.
exactly.
And I want that castle, Ben. I wanna live in that castle.
It's huge castle. Well, you can't anymore because King Kong just destroyed the whole thing.
Oh, darn. See?
Oh,
See?
I
That's why I left the room. I didn't wanna see that.
it's like, well, it's over now. I can't
That's
just
right.
who cares about the end now?
I want that castle back. Oh, so fun.
It's time for a coffee break. Autumn has officially arrived, even if the weather is still a bit warm here in California. And what better way to welcome the season and Halloween than the iconic pumpkin spice latte? Starbucks first launched the PSL in 2003, and it quickly became the fall drink. Hundreds of millions of cups have been sold ever since, and pumpkin spice has now found its way into products all over the world. And don't get me started on pumpkin spice spam or pumpkin spice dude wipes. These days, nearly every coffee shop has their own version, but nothing has ever matched the cultural impact of Starbucks' creation. And with good reason. The creamy texture mixed with cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, and ginger feels like fall in a cup. Warm, cozy, and nostalgic. It's the kind of drink that reminds you of holidays and comfort on a chilly day. For me, I usually have about 1 or 2 a season. It's sweet. I call it liquid candy, but it's consistent every time. Independent coffee shops often put their own spin on it. Some use syrups, others powder, each with different balances of espresso and milk. If the spice is too heavy, it tastes just like straight sugar. If it's too light, it falls flat. The magic is in the balance. The PSL usually appears in September and sticks around through December. So right now is the perfect time to enjoy this seasonal favorite. And what did my guest Danielle have to think about her pumpkin spice latte?
It just I don't wanna overuse the word cozy, but it just brings out the flavor just brings out every holiday to me, particularly fall holidays. So it's not just Halloween, but it brings up Thanksgiving and cooking, and it's just reminiscent of every holiday. Like I said, holidays were huge in my family. So when this comes out, I know it's the kickoff to the season, and that's what I love about it. Yeah.
Exactly. And that is Starbucks has kind of made it like the thing. So whenever Starbucks brings out the pumpkin spice latte for
Mhm.
them, that's when other people fall in line as well. And that's sort of
Yeah.
when the change of season from summer, school is starting now, the leaves are changing, it's getting crisper in the air, it's
Yeah.
colder, it's more cozy,
Mhm.
as you say. We want to be in front of the fireplace now with our
Yeah.
cup of coffee and cup of
Wind
latte.
blowing.
Exactly. And it's very difficult for one type of coffee to actually, on a consistent basis,
Mhm.
to like fill you with that type of sensations.
This
And,
does it.
and because there's so many, I mean, pumpkins are synonymous with fall and
Oh,
Halloween.
right, right.
And the creation of the pumpkin spice latte, which I think it said 2023 is when they first released it,
Mm,
which I was like, "Oh, interesting." So it's been around for a while,
yeah.
and yeah, launched by Starbucks in 2003, became their most successful drink of the season, which, of
Yeah,
course,
of
because
course.
again,
Of
I'll go back
everything.
to the fact that everyone I would say most everyone loves nostalgia, of some
Absolutely.
sort of nature and in respect.
Absolutely.
So this does bring out everybody and makes you feel comfort and makes you feel good and makes you
Mhm.
get ready for the start of the major holidays that are coming up.
That's right.
And so it's like now that the summer fun is behind us, we can
Mhm.
now look forward to the new year with Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, and just
That's right.
enjoy the rest of the year with these fun holidays.
Exactly.
Because we
Yeah.
don't really have any except for 4th of July in the United States. There's not really a big holiday
Nor
in summer.
Easter. No, not in
Oh, in
summer. No, no,
summertime.
no, no, you're right. You're
And
right.
so
No.
there's not
Mm-mm.
really something that's like a Halloween in summer.
Nope.
Basically, summer is just summer. That's kind of the holiday, I guess it's
In
in
itself.
general. But yeah, the pumpkin spice latte is found. I would say you'd be hard pressed to find a coffee shop without a pumpkin spice latte because
Right.
it's been so popularized by Starbucks
Starbucks, yeah.
that people are like scratching their heads if you don't see it on the menu. So you're at least
Mhm.
going to see one type of pumpkin spice latte concoction or
Yeah.
a pumpkin flavored coffee, regular
Right,
coffee, or
right.
both. I think
Mhm.
a lot of coffee shops, I see both of them. So if you don't
Mhm.
want a latte drink, you want just coffee, you could have
They
a
have that.
flavored coffee.
Right,
My
right.
only caveat with flavored coffees is that a lot of times they can be overpowering
Yeah,
and not really doesn't give you the right type of texture and flavor
I agree.
that regular coffee in general has.
Yeah, I
Whereas the
agree.
pumpkin spice latte works perfectly because you're not only getting your sugar intake with the sweet syrup, but you've got the latte espresso
And the
in there
spice.
and the
Mhm.
spices.
Mhm.
Spices are not overpowering,
Mm-mm.
and they can be overpowering in flavored coffee.
They
If they get
can.
too much into the beans
Mhm.
when they're
Roasting them.
roasting them,
Mhm.
it can
I
I used
agree.
to
Yeah.
for example, I used to like Irish cream coffees, the
Mhm.
flavor
Mhm.
of Irish cream,
I
but
love it.
now it's just too overpowering for me
Really?
that I just
Okay.
don't enjoy it as much. But the
Mhm.
pumpkin spice, though, if they use very subtle hints of that
Mhm.
feel, like the previous episode, we did an autumn spice blend, and that had good spice combination with the coffee that it
Mhm.
was not overpowering. You weren't able to focus on one or the other. It was like they were combined together really nicely.
I'd like
And
to
that
try that. Yeah.
and
Definitely wanna try
and
that one.
when they it again, it does the whole I'm in the mood now for fall and for Halloween
Yeah.
and the pumpkin spice latte is a good balance, I think.
Mhm.
Even
Mhm.
people might find it a little sweet. I usually drink 1 or 2 a season because they are a very sweet
Yeah.
beverage. If you don't
Yeah.
want something that's gonna be liquid candy, as I call
Yeah.
it,
And creamy.
and
It's like a
creamy.
milkshake, really.
It is
Really.
very but you still get your coffee fix with the
Yeah.
espresso,
Oh, yeah.
and you get the
Oh, yeah.
pumpkin. And I do feel in this day and age that we've kind of gone overboard with pumpkin flavored everything,
I know. I know.
which is always a downside when something is popular, it goes
I know.
everywhere.
It's
So, but
crazy.
I mean, I do sometimes will see something and be like, "Oh, I'll try it and see what it tastes like," and
Yeah.
again, when it's too much, then it just ruins the whole,
Right.
the cookie
Yeah.
or,
Or
um
a cupcake or one of
cupcake
those little
or
a
donut.
buntini or something,
Although
yeah.
I just had there's a place over here in Burbank called the Donut Hut,
Mm.
and they have a pumpkin spice
Mhm.
glazed old-fashioned donut, which I've had a
Mm.
couple times now, and it's so
It's
good because
good?
it's not
Okay.
it's got subtle pumpkin flavor. It just
Mhm.
for those listening who may be in charge of any type of this, just remember to be subtle with these
Little
flavors because
little yeah.
anything overpowering and people get turned off by it,
Yeah.
and you want people to who especially if they don't like coffee, you don't
Mhm.
want them to be turned off by something that is going to potentially make them wanna become coffee drinkers,
Right.
because there are some
Exactly.
people who just like flavored coffee, and that's all they want is flavored coffee. They don't want a
Mhm.
regular bean
I know.
roast. They just want
Right.
the
Right.
flavored part of it, which is great if you can make it. There's a place in, New York City called Puerto Rico Importing Company, and they
Mm.
have beans in, like, cat boat barrels that you could
Mhm.
see, and they would have
Ooh.
this hazelnut coffee that had real
Mm.
hazelnuts in it. And so
Mm.
when you grind the beans with the hazelnut, it, like, really brought out a really subtle, not overpowering, uh,
Mhm. Oh, that
hazelnut
sounds
taste. So,
really good.
yeah, so when you take the time and the care to really, like,
Mhm.
do
Put
that, then
mm.
it's definitely a pleasant experience.
Yeah.
And then if
Yeah.
you put milk in it, then you kinda turn it into a latte anyway.
Right.
So,
Right.
um
Yeah. No, this is delightful, and on the day today, we're having an overcast day as you are,
Yep.
and I wish it were cooler, and I wish it was raining, but it really just kind of helps paint the whole picture of a
Right.
fall day, you know?
Well, and a lot of places, I think you also got the hot version and you also got
I
the
got the
iced
iced.
version,
Yeah.
and, so if you're not a hot coffee drinker, they do have
Mhm,
iced. Most
mhm,
places will be able to do an iced coffee or iced pumpkin spice latte.
mhm.
I
Which is delicious too.
Right,
However, I agree with you, it's sort of like you really chug-a-lug those. The warm, I'm sipping slowly and enjoying, so,
exactly, and
yeah.
that's always been my thing with iced, and I will drink iced coffee in the hot, blazing summer days because
Mhm,
I want
yeah,
something cooling, but I'll still
mhm.
drink hot coffee in the hot days too.
I have
So,
to have it every morning, yeah, I mean,
but
it's part of my thing.
when fall, winter, and spring come around, and I have that feel of like I want to sit in front of a fireplace and drink a
Mm.
hot coffee, I want my hot beverage. What did you think? Because I know I always felt sometimes that the iced drinks were a little more sweeter than
Definitely
the
sweeter, and they also I didn't ask for it, so that's on me, but they did put whipped cream on it, which is a little bit more than
uh,
I wanted, but definitely a tasty thing I would have. However, I for the fall feel and what we're trying to create, I would stick with the warm one because
Yeah, I agree.
it's delicious. Both are delicious, but I think I prefer the warm.
Exactly. I agree. And that is a tendency with iced beverages they
Mhm.
pull out more of the concentrated taste and make it
Yeah,
sweeter than it should be,
yeah.
as opposed to the hot beverage. But no,
Right.
it's interesting because I'll get sometimes I think it's called the pumpkin cream
Ooh.
latte, which is cold foam on top. And
Ooh.
it's
Ooh, that
definitely a
sounds
very
good.
good, if you want something cold, that's not just
Mhm,
a
mhm,
pumpkin spice latte, but
mhm.
like something that's a little on a different side that they bring out.
Mm.
The cold cream coffees that they make have little taste, flavored cream at the top of it, and it kind of almost looks like a ale or stout,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
almost.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Um, and kind of like what we had when we did the nitro brew,
Right. Oh, yeah, yeah.
but this is
That was
actually
very
specific
much like
for
that.
the top portion of it to kind of add more flavor
Yeah.
into it. So if you're not into pumpkin spice lattes like they make there, they can do the cold creams,
Mm.
which do really well as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh, no.
That's great. I love it.
Well, Danielle, this was
Thank you, Glenn.
wonderful again. Thank you for joining me on Real
Oh,
Beans again and
it
to
was so much fun.
discuss films that you hadn't seen and I hadn't seen and just to like introduce each other to these. I always love it. And
I do
it's
too.
one of the reasons I wanted to start this podcast was to see new things, but also introduce everyone to stories that I grew up with that I love and rewatch and continue to see if I can attract one person to
Right.
continue a tradition like that, like I have,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because I think traditions can be important
I think they are. I think they
and
are,
'cause it's
and they
something to
build
look forward to.
memories.
It's something to
Mhm.
look forward to, and we
Yeah.
always need something to look forward to in our lives because in our mundane lives, we go about doing everything and, there's a reason why nostalgia and tradition
Mhm.
always come back because it's what we remember the good times, quote, quote,
Right.
and what we felt in those moments, and then we try to replicate it again with the traditions and with the nostalgic watching, and it keeps my
Yeah.
imagination going too because I can remember everything and, like, say, "What can I add into for the new generations and new traditions?" And,
Right.
um,
I love that, and just, yeah, encourage people, encourage parents, encourage anyone really to have that tradition. That's what the holidays are about.
uh But
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate you coming on here as always, and I'm sure we'll have you back again for another round of something,
Woo!
and because now
A
we're in the
holiday theme.
holidays zone. So,
Yeah.
and our next episode after this one will be for total 180 on the horror genre. We're going to be watching and talking about Psycho.
I cannot wait for that.
Thank you for joining us here on Real Beans. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and leave us a review. You can also find previous episodes on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Instagram at real_beans or visit us at realbeans.com. If you'd like to support the show, head to realbeans.com/support. It's always a pleasure to discover new films, reflect on classics, and sip a wonderful cup of coffee. So until next time, remember, sip, watch, repeat.